Your first podcast, huh, buddy?
First podcast, yeah.
Well, dude, I'm excited to have you on. We got some interesting things to talk about. But first, this is going to be our first gift that we've done on a podcast.
Wow, what a deal.
Yes, my kids wanted to start giving everybody a fresh loaf. So this one's still warm. You can toss it on the ground if you want. But that's our Nutella from my daughter's made from the Sour Bee. So every guest moving forward is going to get a fresh sourdough loaf. But they do a chocolate-flavored dough. Yeah, dude.
That's legit.
Yeah.
I might hide this at the house.
A lot of, dude, ask CJ. Like, he hides his. Don't close it up just yet because it's still warm, so you want it to breathe. But yeah, so that bread, that actually has chocolate cacao powder flavored dough. Then they do a Nutella globs on the inside with.
All you had to do is say Nutella, and I was done. And
then there's pockets of them, man. Dude, it's unreal. So,
cool.
I wanted to thank you for
much.
coming on and letting us have you on the show. And so that's kind of our little gift to you. And
appreciate it.
And we're going to kick this thing off, man. Why don't you give me a little intro about yourself and kind of where you're from, and we'll just dive right in.
All right. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate it.
You can move this around too, so
okay.
Feel free to get comfortable. It adjusts and everything. Since we didn't go through any of that, we just jumped right into it.
Right in. Yeah, my name's Shawn Fernandez, and I think it's interesting where I come from. I grew up in a little town in Wyoming, right by Yellowstone Park.
Oh, I bet you that was fun growing up.
It was an awesome place to grow up. It was Cody, Wyoming. It's just 50 miles from the east entrance to Yellowstone. Yeah. I mean, the winters are brutal, but the summers in Cody are amazing, And I grew up hunting and fishing, pretty much everything you can do there, and it was awesome. And so, it's like as we started to get, there's 5 of us kids, and I was the oldest of 5, and
no kidding.
Yeah, I realized, and I don't know what is in the DNA in the Fernandez blood, but even my aunts and uncles all left. My grandparents came to the United States when my dad was 10 years old.
Okay,
and so. From Mexico. And so they came to the United States, and all the kids worked on a ranch, and then they went off and started their own business. So there's a lot of entrepreneurship and just going after it. And so I was getting older. I didn't want to be in the small town. I went to, of all towns, Portland, Oregon. It was
God.
I know, it was actually cool at the time. It was actually a great city when I first got there.
Yeah, it used to have a pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool, and obviously we all know where it went. It just went downhill. But I left there. I went to Portland. I didn't know what I was going to do. I went to college. I went to a crappy college, Portland State University, to get my degree. And I wrapped that. I was lucky though. Portland, the high tech world was kicking off, and
jumped right into it.
Yeah, and off I went.
Off to the races.
Off to the races. Yeah, but Cody was awesome growing up.
So as a kid of 5, how many brothers did you have?
So I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
How close were they, your brothers, to you? Were they next siblings, or was there gaps?
Yeah, I had a brother 3.5 years younger than me, and then my sister, and then another brother, and then another sister.
So you had a brother that was somewhat close enough to you to get in some mischief with.
Oh, yeah.
Let me hear some Cody, Wyoming kid stories, because that place is, dude, I love that whole area.
So you've been there?
Oh, yeah. Yep, I've hunted out of Cody several times, but I've never experienced like the nice times of the season there. It's always
brutally cold.
It's just miserably cold and always windy every time I'm there. It seems like so.
Yeah. So I mean, believe me, when you live in Cody and you're a kid, you're always looking for extracurricular activities.
Okay. Yeah.
So we were, whether it went from lighting fireworks on the main street and Roman candles, or looking for in Cody, you had to really go off grid to find the places where the cops wouldn't go, because cops don't have anything to do either, and there's a load of them.
Okay.
And so we had to get really creative, and I think if we had technology back in my days, the cell phones and all that, we had to be a little bit more careful. And so anyway, we would go way out in the hills to throw parties, and sometimes the cops were unbelievable, and they'd still find us. And there were nights running around in the hills with spotlights going, because again, they took this stuff serious because they didn't have anything else to do. So they were chasing us down.
That's the one downfall of small town living, is the cops have nothing to do except for find you.
Except for fun, and they took joy in that. And writing an MIP, I think, was them busting a big drug deal and seizing money. Like, well, you get your name in the paper and everybody in town knows, and it's just a disaster.
Okay. And that's what they were after.
That's what they were after, yeah.
Dude, childhood parties, like, drinking or not, like, I wasn't a huge drinker in high school, but I, went to all the parties, were some of the most fun times, especially when the cops would show up, and everybody's running into the woods and your cars are sitting in the driveway or down the street. Right. So it's like, but you're going to run from the cops. And Yeah, we figured out real quick that we always either got a ride or we took our four-wheelers and parked them, with the escape route in plan.
Yeah, or if someone's going to drive, you're like, great, I'll pitch in the money because the cops come, I'm out.
I'm out.
They don't have any way to track me. I'll never forget this one time. We were at this party. In fact, halfway or three-quarters of Yellowstone Park, what Elks Fork it's called. You may have even hunted up in that direction. And I'll never forget these guys. The cops came and they had enough time to grab the keg and they haul them up this steep embankment. And it's deep in the woods.
Okay.
And the cops know they're up there, but these dudes are rolling rocks. They're rolling
Boulders down at the cops.
Down the cops and yelling at them. I was in a good hiding spot, so they didn't know where I was, but I could hear all this happening.
Oh, yeah.
It was so dang funny. We tell that story to this day.
And when you find a good hiding spot, when you know you're solid, it doesn't matter what is going on, who's getting caught. It doesn't matter unless there's a dog involved. You never give up that spot.
Exactly.
And you know you could have just got to ride it out. But so many people get nervous and they'll try to move and they panic, and that's how you get caught every time. My brother and I were the absolute masters of hiding from cops in our town because we were just the most, nothing vandalizing, but just mischief, fun shit, as a kid growing up. And my God, when we would find places and he got caught once and I just had to let it go. Dude, there's no point in both of us going down with this shit. You're going to get your ass whooped. I hid. I didn't get caught.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, well, my dad 100% knew I was there. Or my brother was there. But it was just don't get caught. That was our rule. Do not embarrass the family name. So we did whatever we could to not get caught. I hid under a dock one night in the summer. I jumped in and went under a floating dock. And I sat there, and those cops, they didn't walk down on the dock, but I was in between the barrels under the water.
That's awesome.
And I was hanging on, and I remember they were searching. I could see the lights going through the thing, and I sat under that dock. It seemed like an hour after they had left. I was so I'm not getting caught. And I sat right there because I thought they walked up the street and were waiting for me to, because I was in a marina. They chased us into this a boat marina. And I bailed. I was my dad's only rule growing up was, do not embarrass the family name. Because my dad he didn't have the best family name growing up. His older brother didn't leave a good path. His dad had a reputation. So when my dad left town and then came back, he spent his whole entire life rebuilding the Marshall family name. And so having two sons that were
hellions,
his clones, that was his only rule. He's you guys there's no curfew. You can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want. You embarrass the family name, you're done. And so that was ingrained. And so it came to the point where I'm jumping in this river.
And I will swim underwater.
And I'm under this dock hanging on to these floaters as the cops. All I remember my dad is, you get caught, it's your ass. And I was hanging on for dude. I come home soaking wet. How do you explain that? I'm the cops were after us for what? Oh, we were just screwing around, throwing apples, and never. Parents didn't care as long as we weren't vandalizing and causing people major problems. But those are the best towns to grow up in.
Great story I got to tell since you were here is my brother was hitting golf balls off the top of the hill down into all these homes in Cody, and sure enough, someone called and the police came. He saw him coming up the hill, so he ran and hid in this field. And he was laying down, and spotlights were going everywhere, and he sees this little, what he thinks is a dog coming up to him, and he's shooing it. He knew that dog was going to give him away if it was a dog. And that little animal turned and dusted him. It was a skunk.
No.
He said, skunk smell. You smell it if you drive, you drive and smell a skunk. He goes, when it's point blank like that, he goes, it almost
burns.
I was dying.
Burns.
And he was I just stayed there. That skunk finally left. I got home, and he said it was misery at the house for weeks.
I bet.
It was after I'd left. And anyway.
We had a skunk spray in our house when we were kids. My mom would feed these stray cats in our garage. And so we had the house where you walk out, and then there was stairs that went down into the garage. So she'd feed them on that little platform. And she opened the door, and there's a skunk locked and loaded. And I don't know if she screamed or what happened. I was in my room when it all went down, but it sprayed right as she was slamming the door. So it didn't fall into the house, but it was enough. And I'll never forget for a week, we would go to school and get on the bus, and everybody it smells like a skunk in here. And I was all insecure and asking girls from dudes with that Axe body spray was big at the time. I'm drenching myself. We had to air it. And this was, I want to say it was late fall, early when I remember it was cold, really cold. And it wasn't enough where there were you know, I don't know if they hibernate or just kind of piss off, but you don't really ever deal with skunks in the wintertime. But it was really cold, and I'll never forget, like, everything just
Reeked.
but you when you're home you smell it, but then you get nose blind, and then you leave, and then we get on the, it was so embarrassing. So like there was this phase where we smelled like skunk, and like how do you explain that as a kid, like in school?
That's what my mom said. She said that house reeked for weeks.
Oh yeah.
So anyway,
best times, man. I miss small town living. I wish everybody can have that experience. Like I wish I could have given that to my kids from the start, because I mean we go back to the days like your parents would drive around town and see what yard had all the bikes in it.
Yep.
And then let's go, get home, time to go.
Yeah, and I would tell my mom and dad, I'm going camp for the weekend with the boys.
Yes.
It wasn't even a question. They knew we were up in the hills.
Yep.
No worries.
So I grew up on the St. Lawrence River up on upstate New York on the Canadian border. We would get 2 tanks of gas, all my buddies. We'd plan it all week. Okay, go home, get everything, you know, you'd plan all week, because you couldn't go home and just, you know, like couldn't text. I mean, we didn't have any of that shit then. But, you know, we'd plan it all week. Okay, as soon as you get home, the parents were all in on it. As soon as they get home, they'd have everything packed. Some kids would just bring everything to school, their whole camping, sleeping bags, everything, and they would ride the bus back to our house. And then, you know, but there was times where all right, we're going to go camping, and we would get in a boat, take off, and we wouldn't come home till Sunday.
Right.
And there was zero communication with our parents. Like, I look at it now, I'm like, Life 360 and my daughter, where are they? Okay, they're coming. What time is it? You know, and it's like, here. And I look back at it, and I was talking to my dad. I'm like, Dad, and he's like, I didn't know any difference how I grew up. And he's like, so you guys are going to grow up how I grow up. I never forget one time we crossed the river in the middle of winter. It was me, my brother, and one of my cousins. And I'm sitting in a sled holding a propane heater and an ice auger, because we were going over to the island. We were going to fish all weekend without any parents or anything like that. My brother hits an ice break in the middle of the channel and just like catapults me. I land in the ice auger, you know, the little protective plastic piece on the bottom that had come off, and I freaking run my thumb down the blade when I fell. Man. So it slices my thumb like to the bone. It was in a blizzard, and as we're crossing the river, like I can't even believe my mom was like, yeah, I'll go at it, you know. So we're panicking. We had already gotten halfway across the river. All I'm doing is applying pressure. I can feel my glove just filling with blood. Oh, we hit the island, but we're like 2 miles down from where we need to be. So we have to follow the shore all the way back. It was because we're in a blizzard, so we're just driving the shoreline. We could see just enough to follow, you know, because it's home. It's our, you know, we know this river like back around. So we know what bay is going to be ours to pull into, and we get there. The camp is locked. We can't even get into the camp. I have to break in through a window. Meanwhile, my parents, we had to have been, this was right before I was joining the Marine Corps. It had to have been. My mom had a cell phone, and she made us take it. It was those old, you know, the original cell phones. Somehow I butt dialed her, and she can hear us as you listening to this whole conversation. And my brother and my cousin like, it's not good. I'm bleeding. Like, we're hiding behind the camp to get out of the wind of this blizzard. So I'm trying to, like, we got little flashlights, trying to, like, put together the pieces of, like, what's going on. Break into the camp. We get in there. Then it was this ordeal. And, like, as we get into the camp, I kept hearing this weird noise. And I'm like, guys, what is that? Like, what is this noise? And it was my mom trying to get screaming my name into the phone. And I'm like, hello? And she's like, what is going on? Like, losing her mind. I'm like, I'm good. We're good. And, like, we ended up going home the next day because my thumb was just in so much pain, and it's like swelling up. But yeah, I mean, like, I look back on the shit we did, and I'm like, good Lord, like, and we survived.
Yeah, we survived.
Just fine.
And we survived. I mean, I think back because the grizzly bears are such an issue, and especially in that area.
So you're going in grizz country as a kid. Okay, that's a whole different level.
Yeah, we're in deep grizz country, and man, people say, do you hunt anymore? And I don't hunt anymore. And the problem was because I grew up hunting and fishing in Wyoming, and we would go hunting or fishing, and we wouldn't see a human being. And that's what I loved. And when I grew up, even hunting whitetail on my grandpa's ranch, there was nobody there.
Yeah.
But when you were fishing and hunting, your head was on a swivel, because those grizz are everywhere, and they're the apex predator because they're not hunted.
No.
So they humans are just part of their, we'll take you out. And they take people out every year. I mean, 2 wrestlers 3 years ago to go to college close right in Powell, close to Cody. They got nailed. They almost got killed.
Is that the one where the kid got mauled and the wrestling buddies jumped on him?
Yep.
I want them on the podcast so bad.
Those guys, I know.
I want their story.
My brother's good friend, his best friend, knows those kids really well.
Really?
Yeah.
I would love to sit down and hear that conversation. But like, you hear about these grizzly attacks are more and more. Every single year. Every year, like, I don't want to get in a rabbit hole of grizzlies, but like, dude, that's a fascinating thing, because obviously with more people getting into the mountains, into the woods and hiking, which I support it all. Like, that's why we live in this country and we live in out west, is because of the public lands we have to be able to share with everybody. But the type of people that are going into the mountains right now have no business being out there. No clue or no business. I mean, and then like they're posting, I saw this woman the other day and she posts a picture of this grizzly and she's like, oh, look at this black bear. And I'm like, and she's just like steps off the trail. And I'm like, so now you're seeing all this content of these people filming these wolves and grizzlies and all this stuff, and they make it look like it's a Cinderella Disney story. And it's like, you might have caught that bear on a full stomach. It might be some female that's on not super aggressive, but like, wait till you cross a mama bear. Wait till you cross some adolescent teenage bear that's full of piss and vinegar that just chewing everything up in his way. I'm like, and it's happening. I mean, a couple of years ago with that guide up in northern Idaho, they
took him out.
Pulls the guide out of his, or attacks the guide in camp, and the client runs off, left him there, and the guy got mauled and killed. Like, the client didn't even try to help. Right. I mean, it's wild. And so now these people are just,
and they're not hunted. Now, I agree. You probably don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I'm like, they're not endangered species.
No, 100% they're not.
They need to be hunted, so at least they fear humans on a level that people can't, because we used to go out a lot, and you cannot, from between Cody and the park, you actually cannot go very far without. You have to go armed. You have to 44 mag.
You're running into them. 100%.
You're running into them,
and if you're not running into, you're crossing really fresh signs, really fresh tracks. And that's such a big animal. I'll never forget the first time I sat and watched like a grizzly outside of a park. I was hunting with my buddy in Montana, and we're watching this grizzly, and it's feeding on the side of this big, like, we're on the tops of these mountains, and it's walking, and it was just rolling these rocks at, like, it was just flicking these rocks like it's nothing. And we end up letting it go over the other side because we're behind it, kind of following it, working in the same direction. When we got over there, and I see these fresh flipped, and I'm like, oh, this is where this grizzly was.
They're huge rocks,
boulders. See, and I'm trying to like lift one, and I'm like, and my buddy's like, yeah, bro, like, that's how strong these bears are. And it was, I mean, with ease, it was just grabbing these things and just flicking them. And we walk over there, and I mean, they're giant, hundreds of pounds, and it's just throwing. I was like, wow, like, okay, like these things are no joke.
They're no joke. We actually had a grizzly bear coming. I was in scouts, when you're a kid, there's in Cody area, great thing to do when you're 12 to 15 years old. And we had worked on it. It was up a Pahaska Trail, which is again right by Yellowstone Park. And man, we'd worked our tails off as scouts fixing these trails. Okay. And it was kind of part of a service. And then the next 2 days were all about fishing. So we were all pumped. We'd finished our work. That night, a grizzly bear came into camp, 15, 20 scouts, all in tents. And my dad was actually the leader at the time. And he knew it was grizz, so he brought a 44 mag pistol. Yeah. So we're all sleeping. And all of a sudden, boom, you hear this gun. And kids, it was funny, the next day they said, oh, I had dreams about firecrackers. Well, I knew immediately. I went, holy cow, my dad's shooting at a bear.
And if he's shooting at a bear,
there's a problem. Wrong. So I get out. By the time I get up, they lit a big fire. And I go, Dad, what's going on? He goes, oh, there's a grizzly bear in camp. And so 4 a.m, he heads down the trail to get the Forest Service, because we had to be packed in by mules to get to where we were at with all our gear. It was a bummer because we didn't get to fish, but we knew that bear because we could hear her in the trees circling all night. Oh, yeah. She was growling, making noise. And so morning came, she had gone, but we knew she was coming back for food that night. So we had to pack out that day.
Once they have you dialed, I mean, that's it.
That's it. So we had to head out, didn't get to fish. It was, that specific river is epic for trout fishing. So we were all kind of bummed.
I could see that.
Had a good story, but we were bummed.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful place to grow. I couldn't even imagine just how cool it is. But like to go back to, like probably why you don't hunt anymore. I mean, dude, it's crazy everywhere. I mean, you run into people and it's just like, what are you doing back here? Yeah. And it's like, God, I didn't think anybody would be in here. And then you come across them. Yep. I ran into these 2 hunters a couple years ago, and I was elk hunting archery, and I'm calling, and I made a very crucial mistake, like in my early learning elk, which I thought it was another hunter, and I come walk in this corner, dude, there's just this giant bull just wallowing, bugling back to me, but it was like the flutiest,
You're thinking, no way that's real.
No way it's real, right? And so after that, it was a lesson learned. But then this was that same season. No, it was a couple seasons later. Anyways, these guys, I thought it was, I'm like, nope, not taking any chances, learn my lesson. But then you can tell, as soon as I'd finish, I 100% was like, okay, these are guys. So I'm messing with them. I'm calling back to them and just screwing around and see if they were in there. I could tell it's getting closer, but I was ready just in case, if this bull does come over. And these two dudes come walking over this little knob, arrows nocked, and they're big boys. I'm talking 400 pounders, right? Oh, really? Big boys. And they had on these ginseng packs or whatever, those little. And we start talking. They're super cool guys. They're from the Midwest. I want to somewhere out there. And we're talking, and the whole entire time, I'm like, bro, how did you guys get here? Because the way that I got here, I about killed myself. And I felt looking at these dudes that I was much more physically fit than them. And they're like, oh, there's a road that we got dropped off on. And I'm like, okay, noted, but we're so far back in there, and I'm like, so where's your guys' gear and everything? They're like, oh, it's all on our back, and I'm talking like high school backpacks, they weren't even hunting backpacks. They didn't even have the waistband. It was just a backpack, and I was like, so if you guys kill an elk, how are you getting it out of here? And they both they look at each other, and I'm like, they haven't even thought that far out yet. And I'm like, all right. And after that, I went back to camp that night, and I packed my shit up. I'm like, they can have this area. I can't, I'm not, especially them just tromping around and calling the way they were. It was just time for, and it kind of ruined that area. And I didn't go back for a couple years, and then I went back, and it was even worse.
See,
yeah, it was a bummer.
Your point, though. That's the problem. I mean, I'm all about more and more people getting out there, but it's the people that don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. It gives a bad name in so many different ways, and they leave stuff, and then
I just talked to a guy recently on an episode. It's the mountain etiquette that people aren't taught, and it's just well, if you know somebody's over there, go. You're in God's country. Pick a direction and walk.
Yeah. Why
do you continue to go, or you see headlights headed up a trailhead? Why are you following them the whole way out? If they beat you there, go find another trailhead. It's just
like a fishing hole, right?
You would think those. I mean, God, now that's even shot. So, but it ruins it a little bit. But at the same time, it's it's the name of the sport, and I want my kids to be here. But at the same time, it's okay, well, there's people over there. Let's go. Well, we were going to go that way. They beat us to it. Yeah. And it's just teaching them that etiquette. Oh, hey, there's people parked to your glass, and we're not going to go and just park right next to them and do the same thing.
Right. Right.
It's that kind of stuff. That's what ruins it for me and doesn't make it as enjoyable. But I get it. Get out there and learn. Do what you got to do. That's why we all.
Absolutely.
That's why we all pay taxes, right?
Exactly.
So after growing up, you head off to Portland and you go to college. What'd you go to school for?
Economics.
Economics. Why?
Yeah. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I didn't. I mean, my parents didn't go to college. They were ranchers, and my dad.
Yep.
He got a lot of experience, became an engineer for an oil company. So we were middle class and we were comfortable, but they didn't really harp on the college thing, but all my friends were. And so I thought, man, I got to go to college. And I didn't know what to study. I tried psychology at first, and that was stupid. And at least for me it was. And then the numbers and business, that caught my attention. Money always had my attention. And so I jumped into that understanding macro, micro stuff, and it really kind of kicked me off from there. But I really, in that process, really found out my brother and I joke about this, and you'll hear about my brother later. He's a significant role in my life, even though he's my youngest brother. Mm-hmm. And both brothers played a role, and we're all very close. My only gift was my ability to sell.
Okay.
I always tell people, after that, it falls off the table pretty fast. What things I'm good at. But, in college and economics, I understood numbers and sales and that sort of thing. And then it really kind of kicked me off of, I could make a lot of money in sales as a young guy with low experience versus trying to climb some corporate agenda ladder.
Okay.
So
I mean, being able to figure that out super early was probably got you
fortunate.
Pretty far ahead of the game.
I was fortunate. Yeah, it was, and I got lucky. I got hired into Intel right out of college, and Intel's right there in Portland. And
what do you mean by Intel exactly?
Intel is probably one of the largest companies in the world.
Got it.
They make they used to especially make all the processors for computers. So microchips.
So you're Intel.
Intel.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it was a they're based right out of Beaverton, which is a suburb of Portland, and I got hired into pre-sales, for a product, video conferencing product. We'll talk more about video because that's a big part of my history too, and it just kind of kicked off. I did take, after Intel high tech, I took a hiatus and I was a commodity trader.
What's a commodity trader?
Yeah, I was selling futures in import steel. So I was selling steel made in China, Malaysia, Turkey, all over the place, and selling here in the U.S. Yeah.
Which is crazy. I was just talking about the wife. She's like, "Where does steel come from?" I'm like, "It used to come from here."
Yeah, it used to.
And I was like, "Now it comes from just countries, and it's all shit." But so you're purchasing steel from foreign countries for the U.S. technically.
Yeah, so there's a lot more to it. I mean, the U.S. is still making steel. They're just not making as much. And the government they do put on tariffs.
Yeah.
So there is always a tariff. We're bringing most of the steel from China, which is a problem. And you're right, the quality is never that great from China, but as long as they hit the standards. So we were selling, gas tubing. We were selling square and rectangular structural tubing, and square and rectangular and round, But and we would sell it on a futures basis because the mills would buy based upon what we would sell. So what I was selling today wouldn't be sold or wouldn't be delivered to the port or the customer for about 6 months.
Really?
Yeah. So customers too. We were both as the brokers and as the customer. We were playing the market. You say, okay, that's a good time to buy because prices are going to drop. Now, also if the prices are going to go up, because obviously you can get a low price. So we try to get a lowest price from the mills with prices hopefully going up. Because if prices dip down, you wouldn't believe what these customers, they go to the port when they'd all come in and say, oh, there's a little bit of rust on it. I mean, just a tiny bit, and they would then reject it. And then we'd be stuck with the low, tons. I mean, we would only sell by tons, and a minimum order was thousands of tons. I mean, these are big orders that would come into these ports because you had to ship it on the.
So they found a loophole. They found a loophole. Have to pay for that.
So it was I learned so much about that game.
Well, that's not even just that game. That's the game of business and life. I feel like now, knowing, maturing and seeing how businesses are run, it's all about loopholes and finding everything. So that probably set you up.
It did, because
big time.
I was fortunate that I had a boss, and he was a hard ass boss. He told me, he said, "Shawn, this will be the hardest job you ever did." And he goes, "For you to be successful here, you're gonna need to make 100 phone calls a day for a year." And
is that what you did?
That's what I did. He gave me the easiest roadmap, and I saw some of what the other traders were doing, what their money they were making, and I just put my head down and I went after it, and I didn't finish what I started in a way that I really would have taken off, and I was doing well. Don't get me wrong, I was doing really well, but I had a better opportunity come after about 4 years.
Of doing the sales for the steel?
I was doing that for 4 years, and then a better opportunity. That's when my brother comes in. He was a senior in college or a junior, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to start a company." Well, you got to understand my brother. He's now worth over $4.5 billion, and he from a little kid knew how to make money. He just knew how to do it from day one, and he said, "Let's start a company." And I was scared to death. I'm thinking, man, I'm doing really well here. He's in college still. But he'd asked us if he could do an internship where I was working. My other brother, Ryan, was at Intel. And we both were working on getting that. And he said, forget it, I'm going to start a video conferencing company. And it was back when video was brand new. The thought of being able to see someone on video was epic.
So you're talking like FaceTime?
Yeah, FaceTime. But these were back then.
Video
they did video
ones.
over ISDN, which most people don't even know. That's a glorified phone line, meaning it's just a line, versus now we do everything over Internet Protocol, IP. And so we started that, and for 3 months I didn't sell one thing. I mean, not even a cable like this. I mean, we didn't sell one thing. And I was like, I've blown it.
So you're starting to panic a little bit.
I did. I remember calling my mom, and my mom said, Mom, I'm going to have to crawl back to my boss, who was so pissed when I was leaving, and asked if he'd take me back. And right at that moment, there's a company, actually, you probably know them. They make the radar systems for the drones, General Atomic out of Utah.
Okay.
And they were my very first customer. And I remember there was $15,000 of margin in that. And I thought I had won the lottery. I pranced around the house like, we are set, honey.
We're good. We're retired.
We can pretty much not worry about anything. And it was funny, but it really took off from there. And now that company alone is part of Fernandez Holdings, Inc., FHI, is a $250 million a year company with about 450 employees. And
really?
Yeah, And
it was just you three brothers?
It was just Kirk and I.
Oh,
Not
okay.
even my other brother, Ryan's an entrepreneur too, but he took a different route. And he took it from nothing. In fact, my brother Kirk borrowed my sister Pepper's credit card to start Solutions. So there was no seed money. He bootstrapped that because I joined him about 6 months after he started. So he started it on his own. I mean, he would call me and say, Shawn, I got a lead. And I would sit in my desk at NORPAC. It was North Pacific Group and the commodity company. And I would quietly root for him, but I'll be honest, and I've told him this. I said, I always thought, dude, you're not,
crazy.
You're crazy. But that kid is the most tenacious and savvy dude. He's 10 years younger than me, and that dude is just a machine.
So people just have that.
Have it.
That grit. So you guys are growing this, right?
We're growing it. Yep.
So it's just you and him.
Mm-hmm.
You start getting deals.
Mm-hmm.
How fast did the momentum start to pick up, or was it a grind for quite a while after you closed that?
It really started going pretty quick. I mean, we hired my sister, Pepper, to bring in policies and processes, and just so Kirk and I were buckaroos, we would do anything to get a deal, and we didn't, and
every company needs a good, smart woman to keep all the guys in charge.
That's right, because Kirk and I would probably be sitting in jail somewhere by this
Facts.
time. Right,
Yeah.
Right. So she came in and started tying, buttoning things up, and from there we just started hiring and growing. Now we're nationwide with offices all over the country, but it was a dogfight. It was tough.
Do you remember the moment where did you ever have this moment where you looked to your brother and were like, holy shit, this is happening?
We were so heads down.
Okay.
I don't even think there was that moment because it was so exciting because when you first begin and you get a little deal and then all of a sudden, I shouldn't say all of a sudden, you work so hard and you win all these little deals, and then the medium and the big deals start coming. It was just a process. I do remember one moment where I was at the Oregon coast when I was living in Portland, and we'd worked a deal out of Alaska. My history, I've done tons of business in Alaska. I just formed a lot of relationships up there, and so I've been all over that state. In fact,
I love Alaska.
Slept in places that you shouldn't sleep in the bush, and anyway, you know all about that kind of stuff. But anyway, we were on the verge of winning a deal, and we were at Father's Day, and we were spending time at the coast, and he was in LA, and we won a deal that had $1.2 million in profit.
Was this your biggest deal at the point?
It was the biggest deal by far at the moment.
I mean, that's got to be pretty badass, to feel this.
It was. We were in the car because I didn't want to I was trying to keep it down because my other brother, Ryan, at the time was struggling.
Okay.
He was kicking off his business. He couldn't get two nickels to rub together. And so I was in the car and we were screaming like little kids. Like we were so happy. And it was a moment that I'll never forget because it was, maybe if you back to your original question, if there was maybe that moment was like, holy cow, this thing is going to be big. And it was such a celebratory time because Kirk needed it. Kirk's my youngest brother. We just needed it for the organization, and people needed it. A couple other reps who I think we'd brought in by that time, they needed to see it, and it just was this catalyst of success for us.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So once that deal went through, is this the type of business that those types of deals just start compounding on each other? Like, then do other clients start seeing okay, that was a big deal. These guys know what they're doing. So does that help you, obviously financially, but does that help you with more clients, knowing that like you are closing big deals? Does that influence them to start jumping on, or was it still a grind like every day with it?
Well, to answer, it absolutely is, because now you can start talking. When you're talking to prospective buyers, you're able to, you have the reference point. You're able to talk about the project. You're able to point to it. It absolutely helps grow your business. You need those wins to to edify yourself of why somebody else should go with you. So it made a big difference. We started getting, bigger names, and now Solutions works with, some of the largest Fortune 5s in the country.
And excuse my question, maybe ignorance, right? Or I just didn't pick up on it. What exactly were you guys selling? Obviously I know.
Yeah. So again, back in the day, so we started the company in 2001.
Okay.
So I'm dating myself now, but in 2001, and that's when video just started. People started imagining, you mean I could be here and talk to a client or a partner, and they can be in New York,
and you can watch each other,
and they could and see the body language, all that stuff. Which we had to sell that. We had to sell the hard. Imagine you're in these meetings and now can see the body. So we would sell all that stuff, and it was hardware. At the time, there was no soft. It was a big old box. Actually, it was a huge box. The beginning ones were gigantic. And they had the CRT, the big square TVs.
Okay.
We'd sell the whole package, but those were like 50 to 100 grand.
So you're selling a whole package deal,
yeah.
A whole package FaceTime deal.
Yeah.
The original FaceTime, technically.
OG, yeah. So
you and your brother are the OG FaceTime creators, technically.
Well, we were the resellers of a company. So there was really two players in the market: PictureTel,
okay,
and Polycom. PictureTel's gone. They were bought by Polycom. Polycom, well, it even goes further back. But anyway, because Intel was the very, very first. Intel created ProShare. That's what I was brought in to be a pre-sale. PictureTel bought ProShare technology, and then anyway, it goes on. But there are really only two players. PictureTel, Poly were the two original players.
Okay.
Polycom changed their name to Polya, who knows why, and PictureTel is non-existent. Now Cisco jumped into the fray, of course, because they're a monster and they can do any of that. But those were the original, and those guys. And when there was a company called Tandberg, very, very popular out of the UK, and man, you could sell those things for, and the bridging to say you and I doing this point to point easy, but if all of a sudden you want to bring in other offices, you had to have a $500 to $1 million piece of equipment to bridge those calls and to make it into one call.
Really?
Yeah.
And you guys are just slinging these things.
And we were slinging those like hotcakes, man. It was unbelievable, the growth. We were having so much fun. It was really the Wild West for a while. Then,
I picture like you and your brother like Wolves of Wall Street, like that party life. Like that's how I'm picturing you, and especially the early 2000s.
Yeah, it was.
Were you guys married at this point, or you have families?
I was married. I was 30 and just got married, and so I had to tone that a hair. Kirk was single, of course,
yeah.
Man. He was having a good time, but he was also Kirk's always been ahead of the game, and he was so mindful of his strategy. He's not a big partier anyway, never has been. And so he just head down. He was building his empire.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for both of you guys.
It's been a crazy journey.
And you guys are still rocking it to this day?
Still rocking it to this day. I now run a side company or a sister company to Solutions called Solution Security. But before I started the cybersecurity component, I'll get into the why of how that happened, I got burnt out. And this is where
this is where I'm going to blow your mind a little bit about my story. So Kirk's whole plan the whole time is have a holdings company, FHI, Fernandez Holdings Inc. And Solutions, for the longest time, most of my time there was just Solutions. There was just FHI and then Solutions. Okay.
He started buying tiny little companies to try to grow, and we would get profit sharing every year. My sister had ownership in that. And they were nice. They were at the time $30,000, $40,000, which believe me, back then those were nice pops. Well, I started getting burnt out after about 12, 13 years. I'd been blowing and going, making hella money, doing great on the sales side, and I decided to, and that's right when I moved to Boise. So I moved to Boise in 2008. So that's actually not so 7 years. Anyway, I'll get the years messed up a little bit, but decided in 2012 to start a supplement company. So created Hit Supplements, and Kirk was like, dude, you don't want to leave. Just don't leave. I need you. Just take a break. Take a 3-month break, or do this Hit thing on the side. I don't care. He goes, do your supplements on the side. I ended up saying, just buy me out. Fatal mistake. With to a degree you wouldn't imagine. He bought me out at the worst. I asked for money, or he bought me out the worst possible time in the business. So I got next to nothing. I mean,
what was next to nothing?
$300,000. $300,000 because I'm gonna $300,000. I can kick this supplement company off and kill it.
So you sold your at what portion? How much?
I'm not gonna say, but let's just say, no joke, I would be sitting here today worth hundreds of millions of dollars
if you didn't sell your portion off for.
Yeah, and it just would have happened organically. It just would have happened. Yeah, exactly.
Lessons learned, huh?
Lessons learned.
Yep.
And Kirk tried to tell me not to leave.
You're broken, like bring it back in, like take care of you, or what?
He is, but my brother's a very, and luckily in the Fernandez, we don't look at someone's billions as our millions or his millions as our thousands. We look at it as he earned it. He earned every dollar. He stuck it through. And so, when I crawled back, and we can get into the supplement story later if you want.
Yeah.
When I crawled back to him and said, dude, I got to come back to solutions. It was tough, but I had a plan. I said, look, dude, the AV equipment, audiovisual equipment, historically just sat in the corner. And IT, because nothing was IP addressable, was a huge, big part. Well, everything has become IP addressable now, the AV equipment included. So I went, dude, we need to understand cyber at Solutions. We need to have a cybersecurity practice, because our whole AV company, which we have deep relations with, long-term relationships with customers, all of a sudden, all of our devices that used to not sit on the network are now going to sit on the network.
Which makes them vulnerable.
Yeah, which makes them vulnerable. And they're communication devices. They're not hardened, They call it hardened for cybersecurity. And we're going to need to be able to tell that story. So I said, let me come back. Let me start a cybersecurity separate company to Solutions called Solution Security, and let me drive that. And he said, he thought I was half nuts, because he's not half nuts. He just knew it was going to be a hard road. And he said, go ahead. So that's what I've been doing for the last 5-6 years now, is running the cybersecurity company. And, and so there's, believe me, because he funded that whole thing. He just said, do what you need to do to grow it.
Yeah.
And, so in a way he has given me. He didn't give me my hundreds of millions. And someday he's going to, laugh at me and go, dude, I got to buy you out of 300,000 and, you're, but, I respect it. I'll tell you why. We can get into this if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Let's just say when you're making a lot of money, some people, it magnifies who they are at the time. And it magnified my, say, insecurities, my ego. Mm-hmm. And I lost who I was. I had 2 little kids at home. I have an amazing wife. And I lost my way, man. I had a Porsche, man. I had all the toys you can imagine. I had beautiful wakeboard. I had all the toys, huge house. And those became more important. My ego and who I portrayed to others became my focal point.
Did you? Was this a wake up aha moment, or did you? Was it a gradual evolved into this person with the money?
I evolved. I think. Well, truthfully, I think perhaps I was always there, but the money and the freedom that the money gave me probably magnified that. And I just lost my way. And in losing my way, I just about burned our family down.
How so? I mean, obviously, besides focusing on the toys, was that the main reason?
No. My wife knew that, and she was aware, but it's when I had an affair.
Okay.
And man, I tell you, I can look back, and I'll maybe fast forward, I'll step back, but my wife left me for a year, so she moved into Eagle. We were out in Stars in Hillsdale at the time.
And you have kids at this time?
Yeah, we have 2 little kids, probably 12 and 8.
So they're old enough to know what's going on.
They know that dad's really screwed up, and dad's, especially my son. My son, in fact, he told my wife, Rachel, said, "Don't get back with dad, he'll do it again." And
really? How'd that feel?
Dude, it was a punch to the gut, but it also wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. It
wasn't rock bottom for you.
Rock bottom was a moment that my wife, I'll never forget it. I mean, it's as clear as yesterday. We're in our bathroom in Eagle, and she had moved back. Okay, she had moved back. So I was able to get her to move back, even though I wasn't done being a dipshit.
Okay.
I was not done living out of integrity, living who I was. And we're in the bathroom, and my wife looks at me and says, "You need to decide the kind of man you're going to be. And you need to decide that very soon, because she didn't even say I'm done. She just said it in a way, and I happened to be looking at myself in the mirror. And I remember just going, "Dude, you're not a good man. You're not a good husband. You're not a good dad. You are not a good person." And it hit me like a hammer, and in a way that caused me to say, I'm marking the line here. I'm gonna change. Now, you can imagine when you go through I'll just tell you, if you have an affair and you love your wife and you don't want it, you have 2 choices. The easy way out is say, "I'm out." And believe me, I considered it a lot of times, because the road
that you're about to get on is not
nightmare.
An easy road.
It is a nightmare. And I chose to go down that path, and I knew it was going to be hell. It was hell. There was 2 hells. There was the burden of carrying the kind of person I'd chosen to be, which is a hard burden. I mean, for me, if I'm out of an integrity of who I choose to be, it doesn't resonate well within me. It's a heavy burden. And that I lived with that for a long while, a couple of years while I was being a schmuck. And to be able to unload that off and say, I'm willing to go through this process with you, to my wife. And the fact that I asked her, "Why didn't you leave me? Why you should have?" Because a lot of people are saying you need to leave.
For sure.
Which I understand that. She said, "Because I knew inside the Shawn I knew there was a good man." And I went through the hell with her, and we didn't rebuild. We tore everything down and built a new foundation of what our marriage was going to be. And my wife's an amazing person. She said, "I obviously played some role in how you got here, and I want to take responsibility for that, and I'm willing to put the work in. Are you willing to put the work in of the choices you made?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I'm not kidding you. It's been about 7-8 years now since that happened, and it's thank goodness, man. I have kept my family together, and my wife and I are better than we've ever been. And
good.
But it was tough, dude. It was tough. I still carry a little bit of guilt. I'm working through that on my own, because my wife, I've built a whole new level of trust, but to get to where she's 100% trust, she'll still at times go, "Are we good?" And I know what she means by that. Are you not dicking around? And, so I always tell her, "Babe, there's a straight line from point A to point B now. I will never, ever." Because before it all happened, I just noticed in myself telling little white lies, bigger lies. And then the next thing
you just compound on each other, and then you get caught up.
Yeah. So during that time, HIT was going on. So we started HIT. The first year did $2.5 million in revenue.
Really?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So I'm like,
how did you launch this to be able to do that? Because what year was this?
It was 2012.
I mean, it wasn't as saturated as it is now, but I feel like, the supplement world's always kind of been.
Yeah.
Or am I wrong with that?
No, valid point. So I remember going to bodybuilding.com after we'd kind of gotten some things dialed in. And the day they signed us up, we were vendor number 1,012 for them. So there was 1,000 plus vendors that were that signed up with bodybuilding.com. But I also had a great plan, had a great brand. I had it was just going to kill it. And bodybuilding was telling me, and I knew some guys there that helped, and they said, Shawn, we're going to blow you up. We blew Muscle Farm up. And you are here. You're the only local company. We love what you're doing. We're going to blow you up. And I was like, so $2.5 million our first year. And the only reason I didn't sign up with bodybuilding.com that first year is they didn't know who we are. They wouldn't even really talk to us. But after that first year, they said, okay, Shawn, you're legit. You can handle orders because you're going to get massive orders. It's going to be insane. And so I was thinking $2.5 million, dude, we're going to go to 10 our second year. And crazy as it is, as you know, in business, crazy market forces can take place. And bodybuilding.com was the 1,000-pound gorilla. They were almost $1 billion company. Mm-hmm. Amazon decided to enter the fray. And so if you could put powder in your garage and slap a label on it, you could put a store on Amazon.
Yep.
And we went from 1,000 competitors, because just to give you perspective, we went from vendor number 1,012 day one, we got all the way to number 49 like that with bodybuilding.com. Meaning we were the 49th most popular vendor on bodybuilding within a year and a half.
Really?
No joke. And so we thought we're going to be top 10. I mean, and so I went and bought a big old warehouse. I mean, I was planning for the future. And we signed up with Amazon. Okay, we thought, great, get more eyes on Amazon. We're going to kill with Amazon. We're going to kill with bodybuilding. But man, it killed the entire Muscle Farm's gone. A lot of these big brands that they're all gone. I mean, yeah, there's some that made it through, but a lot of these brands are gone, and it killed us. We weren't established enough in the whole place for people to go on Amazon, buy HIT. And so our sales went boom, boom, boom. And dude, so you talk about the humbling, process. Yeah. So I went from big swinging, to I'm watching my business crumble, and I'm trying to do everything. I put $1 million cash of my own personal money into the company. I'm seeing that dwindle. I pull my stunt with my family. My wife leaves me. I am paying the mortgage on the house, and I'm taking care of her. That's the least that I did. As I tell you, you don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I took care of all the money. But as you can imagine, when all that's happening, the company's bleeding, we're bleeding personally, the money just starts. It's fast. It's a fast, slippery slope down. And I started having to sell everything. I have my house, everything, to a point that I had to file bankruptcy.
What year was this?
2000. Well, I'm now 8 years since that's happened, since I had to file. And it's embarrassing filing. I think so. 8 years, 2024. So I think it's 16 or 17.
Yeah.
That I filed. And you talk about I should walk into the bank. I had a personal banker come to a place where I would be telling people, you don't understand. This happened because I didn't take $1 that I personally benefit. I didn't buy one cool thing that I could say, I bought that with company money. I poured it all back in. I poured all my personal money. And so it was such an embarrassing time for me. Ugh. It was such a fall to have to do that, and my wife has left me, because a lot of people everyone knew us around here in the Boise area.
This is a very small, big city.
Very small, big city, and let me tell you what, man, the rumors were flying, the social media. I mean, I was
really.
It was hard, and you'd think that would have been rock bottom, but I was just. It wasn't. It was embarrassing, but I guess that was a catalyst to get me to the place I needed to be. But those were difficult days, man. Those were difficult days that I wondered if I'm ever going to climb out of.
What's it like filing for bankruptcy?
It's a nightmare. It it is the most humiliating thing that I wouldn't say most, but it is one of the most humiliating things a person could go through.
Because they go through everything, don't they?
Everything.
I mean, you gotta like
everything. I had property in McCall that they, I lost. Believe me, they took everything I had, and I lucked out. One thing I lucked out, they let you keep your house, and I bought that house. So it was a big house. Bought it in 2008 at the worst part of the market.
Yep.
So, only if I could have waited 3 more years, I would have even done way better. But I had a lot of equity in there. And so I was able to pay off some of those debts by selling the house and had enough for us to live on for a little while. And so, but it's humiliating, but it's, you sit in front of your creditors, you sit in front of you go to a crappy attorney, you file paperwork, you meet with people I remember when I had to go and tell my creditors, local creditors, and they sit in there, they come to these things, man. It was a tough time, man.
And that still wasn't rock bottom for you.
It was part of rock bottom.
Yeah, getting there.
It was part of the process, and believe me, that's and all that happened kind of in conjunction with the wife thing, and
so you just got nailed from every direction right at once.
But it shaped who I am today.
Okay, it kind of has to.
It
at that
has
point.
to. It really does, and you decide at that point is this the path you're going to continue or you're going to change.
Well, you're in a legitimate sink or swim situation here.
You are, but you can decide to swim and get by, or you could decide to swim and go, bullshit. I'm coming back, and just started figuring out my strategy and what's next and how to do it, but yeah, it was quite a road, man. But the fruits of those roads are in my family and family life and where I am today.
Do your kids know? How old are your kids now? I mean,
No,
they're
they're
old
19
enough.
now, and they know all about it. They know all about it.
So I mean, they've been able. What better learning lesson besides obviously them going through it, but to be able to see their father go through all of these hurdles and then pick yourself right back up and keep going. I mean, that's an incredible. I mean, I know you weren't seeing it at the time, but now that they're old enough, they're maturing and they're able to see what their dad and how not just the business side of things, but like your marriage alone. I mean, that's probably the hardest thing that you're ever going to have to fight for. And you have to fight your whole entire life for it, but to be able to keep that together. And once you're in the doghouse, you're in the fucking doghouse.
You're in the doghouse.
So,
and to be able to tell my son, I know you said dad'll do this again. And to be able to set him aside in my office one day and just go, son, your mother will never go through anything like that again. And my word to you as my son is that dad will never do something like that again. And for me, it's been 8 years now, but to be able to look him in the eye and say, dad's straight, he's living right, that's been, to your point, such a great experience. And yeah, he's seen dad struggle, and he's seen him fight, and he's seen him take care of his business in the way he should. So,
which is some of the best lessons you can give your kids. I mean, instead of just talking about it or, this one time, I mean, they got to watch and grow with you and grow the family together. And I'm sure once you started, changing everything around, I mean, your relationship, not just with your wife, but with your kids also became much closer.
He was angry, as he should have been. He was angry. He saw mom's pain, and it affected his years, at that time a lot. And he had to uproot because they went with mom. And mom was great. We split up the kids during that year when we were separated, but it uprooted their lives.
Oh, for sure. Which kids don't want to do.
They don't want to do.
It's not their fault.
No, they want just things
structure
to be
and
structure
peace.
And peace. Exactly.
That's what kids need.
That's what they need. So, anyway, enough of that dreadful time. But it was amazing and horrible and everything in between.
I mean, that's quite the.
Yeah, it was.
The hurdles. I mean,
even my mom told my wife, I think you probably need to consider, or my mom told my wife, you probably should consider moving on.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd that feel?
It was brutal.
For
It
sure.
was brutal, but it was where I was at the time. I had to have some sort of moment of a paradigm shift that created a desire to go, this is just not right, and this is not who I want to be.
Do you think some people go through their whole life and never hit that
Oh,
paradigm
100%.
switch, and that's just their groove,
100%.
and they'll always be the victim or
100%. I think people, and where that always stems from, is a lack of self-awareness. If you don't have the ability to step back and gain perspective of actually how people experience you, meaning I always ask my kids, how do you experience your dad? Meaning, let me try to climb the fence and get, not in your shoes, that's impossible, but see me from your eyes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, a coach one time told me that, because part of my process, I don't know if you know who Shawn is, but he does. I went to one of his lions, not sheep things. That's an epic story too. I mean, he kicked my ass physically and mentally. And
really, I would like to get into this after you finish this.
I got my ass beat. I'll tell you all about it. It was awesome and difficult, but to just be able to understand why they're where they're at, because you nailed it on the head. People always point to someone did this to me, or I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that. And no, we are a sum of every choice we have ever made. Is why I sit here right now exactly who I am. You're exactly who you are because of sum of every choice you've ever made, not because someone did something. And
they did something because of a choice that led you to be there for that person to do.
Right, and so it's just 100% to your question. And I know people personally that they're a victim mentality. Even if it's there's way worse victim mentality, they still on a level buy into that.
Yeah.
And they can't, if you can't have that self-awareness of a behavior or anything that you don't like, then you can never fix it. You cannot go, okay, that's what that is, and what do I got to do to change that behavior or that viewpoint or whatever it may be. And so it's sad. I mean, my father, he's a perfect example of that. He's a perfect example. I mean, he's cannot get out of his own way, and he's ruined all his relationships with all of us, every one of us.
Really?
Yeah, that's a different. Yeah, he just blew it. My parents.
Are they still together?
No. My mom, after 26 years of marriage, they divorced, and my dad burned he burned it all to the ground, and he does not have enough self-awareness to recognize his role. He thinks we all done something to him.
It's all you guys all turned on him.
Yep. And mom was she was the reason, because we are all close to our mother. It's because she's a rock and dad's not a rock. And yeah, mom did this to him and you guys just followed mom. And so, yeah,
and people with that mindset, it's like trying to deal with a narcissist. Like when they have that victim mentality, I mean, you will never, ever be able to get into them and let them know, like, hey, like, here's a mirror.
Yeah, and I've tried.
Look, you can try till your last breath, man. And it's just, that's unless you have a pivotal change or moment in your life where you're like, okay, that aha moment. But I feel if you don't capture that aha moment, then you're just in that cycle and you're just going to repeat everything until you have nothing left.
Exactly, and that's what he's done.
Until you're old on your deathbed, and then you realize what you did with your children and how you blew everything. That's my biggest fear, man.
Yeah, same.
Being on my deathbed and not having my kids next to me.
It's funny you say that, because that's one of those things. When I was looking in the mirror that time, I told you that moment, I thought of that moment. I thought, if I'm on my deathbed and I have been a schmuck, I don't want to be remembered as that.
No.
And so, anyway, it's too bad.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know people like this, and it's just like, and you don't want to have a relationship with them. You can't be friends with them. You don't want them in part of your life. You don't want them around your kids because they're the victim.
Yep.
And
And the power of association, who we hang out with, it really plays a role in who we choose to be. And there's just no room for that energy when you're living the way you want to live.
No. Oh, damn, dude.
Yeah.
This got into it. I was thinking we were going to be talking like crypto and cybersecurity.
We'll talk both, though. I love those things. And those are exciting things to me. And so ask away.
Yeah. So let's talk about this lions, not sheep thing.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason I want to hear this because I have my opinion on this guy.
I do too.
But it's also interesting because I've had a couple of my hunting clients that have gone and they do these like become a man, find your internal men workshops and all this stuff. And I've always had a problem with them because one, I don't know if it's my military background, just like the training, the shit, the experience of the brotherhood experience, like nobody will ever be able to recreate that no matter what even if we're these Navy SEALs and I see them like hazing these dudes over.
I got hazed by Navy SEALs. I'll tell you all about it.
Did you pay like 10-15 grand for this?
Luckily I was one of the first to go. I paid $5.
Okay, all right, even still,
and I scraped that money together at the time too.
But if it helped, I get it. And I have a couple of clients that have done these things in like these men clinics where they're like going, and I'm all about ones that are going to help you with trauma and you're going and learning how to like just find those. I support those big time, especially what I've seen it do to our community. But I take somebody, and this isn't a bash at anybody. I don't know Shawn personally. But like, I see these guys and they're giving this advice, and for instance, like his marital advice, right?
And the next thing you know, gone.
They're gone. And it's like, and my wife and I, we walk every night. We do like a couple of miles. We do this huge loop and we talk. And recently we brought him up, and it's like, I got dog shit that's hidden in the corner of my backyard that's older than your marriage, and you're on social media giving marital advice. And then here's my other biggest problem is this guy talks about his success. I'm rich. I've done this. Lion's not cheap. Where the fuck are your kids? Where's your family? Like, if I'm looking at somebody, this is just me personally, and I look at somebody's success, and I look at all these influencers, right? These guys we all know them. Mm-hmm. Where is your family? No, I don't put them on social media. But you talk about you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're self-meditating, you're cold bath, you're at the gym, you grind until you're home, and then you do it again the next day. Where is your time for your family? And I get it. Success is completely different from everybody in this room. It looks at success differently.
Sure.
But where I'm at in my chapter of my life for success is like, I want to have that relationship with my wife. I want to have that relationship with my kids. And it's like, but then again, I have and then I look at these guys and it's like, you could have all the money in the bank, but you got this shell of a family. Like, is that success? It's like, I look at these lions, not sheep guys, and I'm like, how successful really are you? Now, if it's helping people, and this is where my question is like, was it beneficial? And did you get something from it? Or is it just a thing that you see on Instagram and people are paying for these clinics and they're going and letting, these Tony Robbins and motivational speakers tell you what a piece of shit father you are. And then you come home and you change or you don't. That's how I kind of look at these things. So I'm interested to actually talk to somebody that's gone through.
And I think you nailed it, that I think responses would vary.
Yeah.
Per individual
for sure
that goes there. And I loved your point about the currency. Money's not the only currency. Mm-hmm. Family, love, all the things that truly make up success, mm-hmm. right? I mean, money's just a portion of what true success is, right? It's part of a whole lot of things. And so I agree with you 100%. And regarding the lions not sheep experience, for me, it was somewhat of a help for me.
Okay.
And I'm with you on, it's funny you say that you and your wife my wife and I have had that conversation exactly on, because I know Shawn Whalen personally because I went to his thing.
Yeah.
I've actually gone to a number of his things, not the experience, but I've supported and on and on. And so way in the past, I'm no longer really a disciple, let's say, of Shawn by any means.
And this, I'm not trying to bash or like have you say it, but like
I agree with you.
But it's just funny to me. Like I want to hear like I'm
And
sure I could gain something from hearing him talk, but I mean I'm gaining shit from hearing you talk in this conversation.
You may or may not. I mean he is all that you said. Rah this and that, and then you're right. And the portrayal of their marriage being perfect, and when they're going to start a podcast between the two of them giving marriage counseling is a joke. I agree with you because just like you said, they have not done it long enough to be giving marriage counseling.
They're still in the honeymoon stage.
Right. And the honeymoon was over, and right after the day is over, they're divorced, and there's a lot of talk about what happened in that. And so beside all that point, the experience was interesting. I went down there, it was in Salt Lake, and 6 guys get put into a house. He had a camera crew, and believe me, it was intense. We get there. And,
really?
Yeah, and then we live in this house for, I think it was 4 or 5 days, and we have do experiences every day. And I think the second or third day we went to an MMA gym, and we had to fight each other. And no big deal, but it was a type of fighting. Shawn told us, you honor each other by trying to kill each other, by going all out. And so, I'm like, I'm cool with that. I mean, I'll fight, but, my first guy I went up against was probably your size and wider and was athletic. And, dude, look, I'm scrappy and I'm this and that, and I have some level of experience of, being able to defend myself. But, man, I got KO'd because I went hard. I took Shawn Whalen and I said, I'm going to go as hard as I can. And I didn't really, sometimes you can tell a guy is quick for his size. I couldn't. This guy seemed like kind of I thought I'll hit him 5 times before he gets me one. And I went in and got a little careless, man, and he hit me with a shot. Dude, I woke up, wondering what the hell happened, and then I had to go. And we had 1 minute rounds. I'm not kidding you. So we had 1 minute rounds that we had to fight every guy. Mm-hmm. And you think 1 minute?
Oh, you're smoked after a minute.
Dude, 1 minute, and then you have to fight the next guy who's coming in fresh. And dude, it was brutal, and that was it. It was fun, but it was also intense. The next day was worse. So that's when we went into it was a pretty cool setup. So it's a house. It's a big warehouse, mm-hmm. and there's like setups of houses, like how a house would be laid out. And the tops are open, so from the top you can walk and watch what happens.
Like a shooting house in a way.
Yeah, like a shooting house. So our job was we're in a house and there's intruders, and you have to get out of the house. And it's dark. So, I mean, you can see a little bit, but it's dark. And there's, they did it a couple times, 2 or 3 guys, and these guys are trained. I mean, these guys are the ex-Navy SEAL guys or at least special ops dudes. Dude. And this was not playtime. This was not, we caught you and we took you down and we're holding you, choke you out, lights out, and then you wake up and you go, okay, I didn't do very well. So they would make a noise, and your job was to get out of the house, and you had to fight your way through the house. And dude, I mean, again, a great experience, but man, sure. I was like, there were guys, and there were scrapper guys, there were maybe a tough guy, and then really some naive dudes that you should have seen the fear and the
big time,
just terror that they experienced. I believe me, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was scared. I was scared to fight, and to me, I fight because I have to, not because I'm put into a situation. Oh, you're here, you're gonna fight these guys, and I had to because and I remember I was really out of breath. I mean, I was sucking air, and I was having a hard time catching. But Waylon comes over right in my face, just screaming at me, going, "Get your ass back out there! I'm gonna knock you out right now." I'm like, dude, I'm not scared to get back out. I couldn't even breathe. I was I don't know if I was holding my breath because maybe I was nervous, and so I was. Anyway, it wasn't out of fear, but I remember him doing that, and
adrenaline too.
Adrenaline, a lot of adrenaline.
There's a lot going on in that situation, especially if you're not really used to it. So your body's trying to just survive at this moment.
Yeah. So what did I gain? What did I really gain? The one thing that I gained, maybe from that, I would give Shawn Whalen credit for was you're lying to yourself. And when he said that, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, no, I'm not. What do you mean I'm lying? He goes, no, you're lying to yourself. And it was part of those excuses, part of their justification process. And so that stuck in my brain is, okay, you are absolutely lying to yourself on really, and that's what's holding you back. And so I can say I gained that from that experience. Yeah. But I'm not I told Rach, because I actually went and did a coaching session with him again, a non physical. It was more of he was going to help, some with business which was just a waste. I could go to my brother and run circles around him, but I still did. Paid another $5,000, and I absolutely got nothing. Nothing from it. Now, Waylon, if he was sitting here, would go, well, you didn't do the work. And I'm with you. I just think he's a really good sales guy.
Yeah.
And I think he shouldn't. Yeah, I won't get it. I don't think he impacted as many lives, and maybe he has. Maybe if he was sitting here, would just become unglued, and he probably would, because I know Shawn, and I don't know. It wasn't worth that time and money for me.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I thought I figured I'd ask, because you see, you see so many. I know other business guys that I've dealt with, and I worked for a company for a little while that did those types of things. But they would just bring my buddy and I. We just did the fighting sections of it, and we just fight these like insurance agents and these big corporations that were trying to do like these be a man clinics. And it was just, we would laugh and just, this is the early social days before these guys were doing this stuff, and we would beat the fuck out of these insurance agents, like in the dirt. And I'm talking like dragging them, like just humiliating these guys. And we'd go to the bar that night,
just
and
laugh your ass
we're
off.
fucking these dorks paying us so much money. And then, it turned into this business now. I see these Navy SEALs doing it. I'm like, I should have capitalized on it early. I would have been one of the originals, but it's like we'd just laugh and how just pathetic some of these dudes were. Then, when I got out of that game and, new chapters in life, and like I see these guys and they're talking, and I don't know, man, like I just look at people and it's like, if you're going to give these types of advices, I want to know the infidelity that you and your wife have gone through, fucking counting pennies to keep the lights on, and knowing that you had a wife that was your foundation and you guys were partners. I want to know, what was your what have you lost and how did you rebuild? Like, those are the dudes that we need to be listening to. Instead of like, I feel like a lot of these guys are just like, okay, I have a platform. I am able to talk on camera, and I'm going to just put my advice out there, and I'm going to appeal to people that are in a need situation, and I'm going to capitalize on it. That's how I look at the majority of these guys. And, and you see these like felons to success dudes, and there's this one guy that's popping up all over the place. And I watched this interview of him recently, and he's like trashing this dude. He's, just tearing him down on the stage, and they're all on the stage on this panel. And he's like, well, how much money you got in your pocket? And the guy's like, I don't have anything. I have a family. He's like, and I'm like, I would relate to this dude that's getting instead of this yoke tatted felon to success, and he's belittling this guy that's on stage and like, yeah, like I have a family, like I don't have millions, I have kids in school and bills. And he's like, I'm not just some random influencer. And I was like, that's who people need to be listening to, is a guy that's walked all of those steps. And like, if you're giving financial advice and you're 3 years in your business, I don't care if you're making 100 million, 3 years in your business isn't shit. Like, you're still figuring stuff out. You've just figured out and you've nailed the algorithm on making money.
Right.
Good on you. I'll never take that success from somebody, but I'm not going to go to somebody. And like my dad, he's like, they haven't been in it for a minimum of 10 years. Don't even listen. And so I've taken that into consideration, because you talk to people and it's like, they talk such a good game. And you look at all these young kids now, and you'll talk to them, and that's where I want to get into crypto. But you hear these people talk about that type of stuff, and it's just like, well, how long have you been doing? Oh, I just started. It's like, dude, you got a whole entire social media platform built off of giving people financial advice or tips on how to become rich. And it's like, and then as you see what they're driving or you see the car they're living in, I'm like, oh, okay, it's all a facade. All a facade. Yeah. And so that's where that question came from. It's just, I'd like to know.
I would agree. I think, again, I'm sure there's people out there that would say it was amazing and catalyst.
Oh, for sure. But
for me, it was like you said. I would have much rather gone to someone like my brother, someone who truly knows business or truly knows marriage counseling, or truly walked in like you said, shoes of someone who's gone through that and battled their way all the way through it, through the thick and the thin,
and lost it and did it again.
Yeah,
because so they have the answers and they have the experience. And I think that's what a lot of people need to get off of the influencer train. And find the real deal guys that
100%.
And unfortunately, though, the real deals aren't on social media. No. They're out there grinding, because they have figured it out, and they've lost it all, and they're not going to do it again. And so that's where that comes from, but it's hard to find. I mean, it
is.
sounds like you've gone through the trenches. So that's why I'm glad, we talked a little bit that night at the vault. I was like, we got to talk, just hearing you. So, but I mean, it's good. I mean, I agree with you. I know I have some of my clients and they've gone out and done some of these, and they think it's the greatest thing ever. And it's changed their life and it's helped their marriages and it's helped their businesses. And it's kudos on you. So I'm all for it.
Me too. I wouldn't tell my close friends to go anymore though.
Yeah. I mean, things change too. So, but anyways, switching gears here. So let's get into the cyber side of things. So you go to your brother, which was probably pretty humbling to go and have that conversation to get back into the company. And now you're starting fresh with cybersecurity because now obviously you guys are connected to the network, which opens up a whole other can of worms.
Yep.
How did you decide to start getting into this? Like obviously this was 8-ish years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, cybersecurity was definitely a thing. I mean, you had these LifeLock companies coming out that were, I remember that dude put his social on these billboards and said, if you can crack, and his shit got hacked immediately.
Right.
So that was a huge embarrassment. That was years ago, but I mean, so it's been a thing for a while. And I've gone through some cybersecurity classes because I had an executive security company for a while. So I went through the cybersecurity thing and it's fucking scary. Like what they're capable of doing. So at this point, your brother still hasn't, or they have their own, or you just came in and wanted to branch off and start turning that into a business? So
Solutions Inc. is the AV start of video, became a video AV, and so I said, let's just put a sister company, attach it to Solutions, called Solution Security. Okay. The reason I want to do that, it was kind of a strategic, is because Solutions was well established in the marketplace, and so we have a ton of customers that would be low-hanging fruit that we'd already have an open door in. And so I thought, well, man, if I start talking, I can go to all these companies we're already doing business with and say, hey, let me help you with your cyber. Now, funny enough, it doesn't work. My thinking it wasn't as smooth as that, because our AV guys quickly said, sounds great, and they would go, and the cyber guy or the AV people would go, why is my AV guy talking to me about cybersecurity? Okay. It's because there's been such a division for so long of AV in their own world, and then IT handles everything else. And so, but that migration, the evolution has brought them together. So the IT director now has AV, cyber, all the IT functions all under one. And so it now makes more sense than ever for our AV guys to have the conversation. So those are starting to take shape. And to go back to your original question, why did I do that? I don't know. It's funny. I mean, I couldn't spell cybersecurity. I didn't know anything about it. I just saw that migration happening from AV onto the Internet of Things, their IoT environments, and I went, we don't know anything about that. And I said, and I just saw the opportunity, and I said, let's jump on that. And he agreed to that. And so, believe me, it's like anything. It's like anything that you want to do. If you want it and you really want it, it's a challenge, because there's a million competitors. I could be a toothpick salesman, and I'm going to run into every damn. There's competition everywhere. And so, I had to figure out our portfolio of services we were offering. I had to figure out how to bring it into the, how do we do this? How do we get a SOC and a NOC? Do we have, what cyber services do we want to offer? Do we want to just one, or do we need to offer all? And during that process, I developed it into a full SOC NOC, a full portfolio. We do everything in cyber. I mean, there's not one component of a cyber stack that because cyber is a layered approach. People, I think I was listening to one of the guys you had on before, and it's true. There's not one product or platform or service you bring in that will solve all your problems. You got to bring in, there's security awareness training, there's threat monitoring, there's incident response, there's disaster recovery, there's backups. I mean, the list goes on and on. If you don't have a check by all those, you have vulnerabilities. So,
God, that sounds like a stressful business to be in.
It is. It was, and it is. I mean, it's because there's so many. When when I thought about it, I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And when I dug into it, I'm like, oh, shit, what have I done here? I don't know anything about this.
And now you can't be like, hey, bro, I don't like this.
Right. I don't like it, Kirk. It's hard.
You're committed. You're fully committed at this point.
Fully committed. And so, you just go for it. And luckily for me, Kirk gave me enough runway for me to be able to bring in people that are just they know what's
experts
going on.
in it.
And so for me, I just had to create the vision, create the roadmap to get to the vision, and then execute those milestones and benchmarks throughout the process. And we're doing that now, and we have the people in place, we have the processes, we have our tool set. As when it comes to cyber, you figure out what tool sets you're going to offer to customers, and now it's about executing. Now, really, for us, we're in a place where, okay, all that's been done. It's time to execute from a sales standpoint. And so we're doing that. I mean, I'm still grinding, man.
Oh,
I'm grinding.
For sure. And the cyber world, I feel, is changing. It changes every day.
It's a absolutely ever-changing threat landscape. What the bad guys were doing yesterday is not what they're doing today, and not what they're going to do tomorrow. And so it's highly reactive and I like that it's ever evolving, because it builds. You can't just set it and forget it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in cyber, they think, okay, once we get this all in place, we're done, right?
No.
Oh, no.
You're done for that day.
Yeah, you're done for a moment in time, and you've got to have active monitoring. You got to have resiliency. People, you'll never become, because we do have customers say, well, are you guarantee I won't be breached? Heck no, I can't guarantee that. We're building your resiliency. We had a company, I won't name the name but you would know who they are. They're an ammunition company. They're and
are they here local?
They're not here local, but they're kind of local.
Okay.
So
I got you.
And they had a breach, and luckily they had all of our services in place. We jumped on a plane, incident response, and thank goodness the guys, they made a mistake, the hackers, and which is crazy because it's a known group. They sent a fax demanding the money, the ransomware, 2 steps before they would. Someone in their group made a mistake. And I know sending a fax sounds ridiculous, but that's how they do it. They send a fax, demand the money, or you're not going to have access to any of your systems. But we got there, and they had only got to that machine. So we brought in our guys. We were able to completely barricade it and clean it up and done. But they were,
as a machine, you mean like their server?
Yeah, one of the servers or an endpoint somewhere.
Okay, so let's talk about these hacker groups. It's just all ransom. Technically, is that what they're after?
Mm-hmm. It's
in a way.
Money. Yeah, it's always about money. I mean, it's always about money. And whether it's a ransomware or they're stealing sensitive information like social security numbers and
credit card
all
infos,
that credit card, which they'll then sell on the dark web.
Yeah.
It's always about money. Always.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So what is your guy? So protocol for you? You have a client and they get hacked. Depending on obviously the client and their information they have, they call you immediately. And then what's the protocol? I mean, you guys are out there. Are you going, is it you guys have to be on site, or is this something where you're logging into their systems? Like, how does this work?
Yeah, it's a good question. It depends.
Okay.
It depends on time, because time is so key.
I'm sure.
That's why we did a red eye to get to this location for these guys. But the protocol is really, hopefully we know before they do, for one. But if they call us and say our systems are down and we don't know it, that should not ever happen.
Okay.
We're saying, hey, there's a problem, and then we look into how deep is it. Sometimes we can take care of it remotely, but if it's gotten a little too deep, we've got to be on site.
Really?
It just depends on the level of breach.
So scary.
It
With
is
how much
scary.
information's out there, and your whole life is put on these hard drives, and it's just like now a kid can. I mean, kids are doing it.
Yep. And it's not a matter of if a company's going to be compromised, it's just a matter of when. Yeah. And the average breach.
It's that bad, huh?
It's that bad. And the average breach now is $5 million. You have $5 million for an average breach. So if you're a small company and you get breached, all your system gets shut down, you could be out of business. You're done.
Wait, they ask for $5 million, or it costs you $5 million?
If you look at all the breaches across that happened, the average ransomware cost is $5 million.
What?
Yeah. And when I say, and that's probably also talking about the cost to get back up, you know, because obviously if I'm a hacker and I'm going to look at it and I gain access to your organization, I'm going to know everything about your financial scenario. And I'm going to go, what amount of money can I ask for that I could get? Right? Because it doesn't do them any good to say, I want $5 million and we're shutting it off. And they do $5 million here in revenue and they have, you know, but if it's $1 billion company and they ask for, you know, they look at all those.
They're not going to ask for $5 million from a $1 billion company.
No.
Yeah.
And the risk is, I mean, it takes a team to do these sophisticated breaches. It's not one guy. I mean, this is a sophisticated team of people that do certain things at certain times throughout. I mean, you can watch the show, The Heist or whatever that's not the one I'm thinking of, where everybody plays a role. So there's players.
So that's how it really is.
It really is that.
So everybody has a position or a job. And it's all in I mean, you said that the hackers made a mistake, so it's almost synchronized. Like they have phases, and it's like the next guy's phase, he does his job. How many are in these groups usually? Is it like a huge group or is it like 4 or 5 guys?
I think it varies. It depends on the level of sophistication they are and the level of clients they're going after. The type of, you know, because the bigger the prize, the more sophistication level you have to have. Because you look at these Fortune 500 companies. I mean, they've been cyber protected for years, and they're doing high level. It's the mid-level market. The reason we go after mid-level is because these mid-level people have always thought, oh, that's what happens to somebody else. You know, it's like the C word. You know, cancer. I mean, we all know it exists. It's horrible. We know people that have it's hit, but internally, we always think, it's such a bummer. We hope at least that'll never happen to us. And that's what a lot of these businesses do. Well, that bummer it happened to Joe down the street, but probably won't happen to me. Or they're willing to roll the dice, kind of like a smoker. Yeah, I know if I smoke, I could get cancer, but they keep smoking.
How many companies are out there just shooting from the hip like that?
Many.
Really?
So many. You would be shocked, man. I mean, we work with so many companies. I'll just give you one we're working with right now. It's a big dealership type group, and they have next to zero cybersecurity. They're a $1 billion outfit, and they're in fact they're so vulnerable that their management. So the cybersecurity guys are like, we got to get this. They can't go. They're having a hard time getting the C-level people, the people to write the checks to go, well, it hasn't happened anything yet. Why are we worried about it? And we're just like, you don't understand. You're so
famous
vulnerable.
Last words.
Yeah, famous last word. Another one we're working on right now, casino. Okay, casino, big casino on the East Coast. If I said the name, you'd know who it is.
Which we don't want to say the name because they don't have any cybersecurity.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to say their name.
But hey, who knows? Maybe we launch this episode and they're calling you.
It's about time. You know.
Guess what happened? It was crazy. You're like, it's about a week ago. Yeah, right.
Yeah. And they're the same way. They're so vulnerable. They're playing with fire. And a hacker gets in there, man. They're not going to ask for $10. They're going to ask for major money.
So it's not an if, it's just when.
It's just when.
And so these companies are that loose with their cybersecurity, especially in this day and age. I thought it was like it just became part of owning like a large business. Like it's just part of the chapter or part of a division in your company that what's the percentage? I know you probably don't know exact percentage, but like, is it like 30%, 50% of companies like out there, like you're driving down the road, like, yep, they're not secure, or is the majority of them pretty smart about it?
That's a great question. I don't know if I would be able to offer an answer that would be accurate enough that I could say 30 to 50 or I don't know.
But it's enough.
Here's the problem. The challenge, and there's articles that come out this all the time. True cybersecurity resiliency is based on a stack of tools that is expensive, very expensive. So when you look at an organization and they have to start adding so much more money to their cyber resiliency, their operating costs, because it's not a project you pay for it and you're done. It is an operating expense. I mean, it is every month that bill's coming in and they have to have it. And so oftentimes it's a cultural shift of leadership within an organization that understands the threat landscape and says, this is not a negotiable.
Okay. So you got some old dinosaur in there and it's just impossible
It's just
to crack
impossible. They're looking at that cost. I don't want to add that to the bottom line. Like, well, you have to. It's not. And they've been rolling the dice,
That's
every
scary.
month, and they're willing to.
How many of these companies out there have major information, people's personal information, and they're not even securing it?
So many lack, and especially you look at these little medical clinics, that do Botox or that do these little spa that dude, they don't even think about cyber, and they have all that. They have PCI with, and there's what's called compliance frameworks that you have to follow, whether it's PCI, HIPAA. Like if you go to your hip doctor, you feel like you sign that HIPAA document. You're hoping they're following HIPAA compliance, and what that is a framework of guidance to protect your personal information.
Yep.
And so many of these people going to get their Botox, they get all their stuff that they do, and I'm just using that example. Dentists, the list goes, chiropractic, list goes on and on. And they think, well, I'm separate from the hospital. I don't need to have that. And yet they have all that personal information, and they have their medical histories, which is, let me tell you what, a medical history is worth so much money.
Really?
And you know what else these bad guys are going after now? They're going after kids. So why would they go after kids? And believe me, the schools gather the kids' socials, they gather everything. And all of a sudden, an 18, 19-year-old kid goes to get his first car loan, and he's $50,000 in debt. And he's like, what do you mean I'm 50 grand? I'm never even, this is my first loan. Oh no, Shawn, here, debts you've never paid, because these hackers get a hold of that, create an identity based around an unused Social Security number that reflects to a real person that's living. No joke. And they immediately, so schools are so susceptible, and the problem is schools don't have money. So just now, the E-rate is a big grant government funding vehicle. They are adding cybersecurity because a lot of schools get funded by E-rate for their broadband, their internet, and they're adding funding for cybersecurity because they're realizing this is a major, major issue.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I never thought of this.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's a bad situation. And it's happening a lot. And now these schools they're panicking, and then they look at the costs. And every one of those kids have laptops. Mm-hmm. And they're on the network, school network, and it's just a disaster. And so
it's just a massive ticking time bomb.
It is. It really is.
But see, an even better reason to homeschool your children.
That's right. I homeschool mine. We've done that the whole time. It's the best thing we ever did.
Incredible.
Yeah.
We are those. Remember back in the day, like CrossFit people or like vegans, they just have to tell you they're vegan or that you train CrossFit. Homeschool. It's the new one. It's like, and then when you run into people, you're like, the Hunger Cadet shit. Like that's how it is now. Like it's so crazy out there, but I get it, man. I won't even get started on fucking homeschool. So, but that's wild, bro. Schools and these kids are, and they have no idea.
They have no idea. They're just living their lives, and they go out, they become adults, and they're going after their first loan, or they. Even some things, like simple things, try to get insurance, try to do one thing and you can't, you have a horrible credit report. And you know how a credit report is, man. Once it's on there, that's a nightmare to get that removed. Mm-hmm. So these kids, it's just...
I'll tell you what, though. Credit reports, real quick. This is a cheesy plug for a company that does not sponsor us. Lexington Law.
They good, huh?
Bro, when I went through my divorce...
Really?
Oh, boy. I went from perfect credit to... embarrassing, right? And then when I met Britt, and she was like, no, we're fixing this shit. And I ended up getting them and hired, and man, they cleared everything. It was within I want to say a year and a half.
What services do they offer?
They go in and they have different tiers or platforms or whatever, but so you can pay. But now it's if you apply for something or, you buy new vehicle loan, whatever it is, you can literally just pull them up and they'll go through and fight, and they do all the fighting for you. So if you have all those little credit inquiries or whatever, what I learned during that time is all these credit companies, how there's a specific date and time that they have to file your late, if you say you're 30 days late, because at that time, backstory, my ex ran a bunch of cards because she had my power of attorney because we were in the military and I deployed with her. So when she split, she was smart and went and opened up a bunch of shit because she had that and drained everything. Anyways, so I had all these bills. I had a car payment that wasn't getting paid on. Like I had credit cards that were just maxed and left. So I got stuck with it all. And so, but like they went through and swiped everything. It took a couple years, but tell you what, 100,000,000,000% worth it. Got me from like 300s back into like the high sixes within like a year and a half, 2 years. And then obviously work back up from there. But
good stuff.
Credit's scary, man. And then now with these hackers, like that's what scares the shit out of me. I mean, you go to a chiropractor and these guys can hack a chiropractor and there goes everything.
There goes everything. And this is sensitive information that anybody should have access to, but it's a concern. It's a concern.
What scares you out there being in this world? Like
quantum computing.
The hell is quantum computing?
Quantum computing is you hear of these supercomputers that there's only a few exist in the world, and they're building more and more of them. That quantum computing can hack any algorithm. That means if you look at the code for a Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, the blockchain, and if you have wallets that people have, that we all have in crypto, that they can hack in, because the computing is so fast, they can solve even a 26-letter word phrase that is taken to create your wallet. They can crack that code within a short time. And so
what's a short time?
I don't know. I haven't heard the numbers of what they're saying, but even if it took a year, what if in a year you had to worry about that your money that you have in your wallets, your crypto wallets, was going to be susceptible, and it could. I actually read something yesterday. They said by 2025 to 28, so they are given a 3-year window that quantum computing will be able to do this. That worries me.
Who's building these things?
Right now Microsoft's building what I heard is and I don't quote me, I will say that out loud, a $30 billion quantum computing computer.
$30 billion?
30 billion, 30, that will have capability of coding and solving algorithms unknown to mankind.
Why do we need that?
Yeah. Same thing about AI. AI is a big concern about AI and what
so
that
scary.
means. Yeah, AI is something that I actually sat down with someone that is on the DGen group that works with Justin, that was actually saying, he actually told me this. It was we were having lunch, and he said to me, when you use AI, actually be polite. He said, say please, say thank you. And I was thinking he was joking. I'm like, dude, why? I just need my information. He goes, there will become a moment when they become sentient, meaning they will be aware. And he said,
of how you talk to them.
Of how you talk, and they will be aware that they exist. Meaning, now the old Terminator movies, when they would joke, we always watch that, and they said, when testnet became aware, and we'd all like, those machines will never become. This guy is a guy he's brilliant in AI.
I know him.
You probably know him. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but he's on Justin's team on that AI project he's working on now. That says that is going to. He says it's not an if. He said it is absolutely going to happen, and he says, be polite when you use AI. He said either love, this was what he said, either love of people from those machines will prevail, or it won't. He was being dead ass serious. I was shocked.
Where do we go as a world at that point when we have to talk nice to our phones because they can just swipe everything off of it because you were like,
yeah, you could be going down the road in your electric car, which hopefully we don't ever have, or they have machines do things that all of a sudden. Anyway, I don't know. To your question, if that happens, I don't know, man. Hopefully,
So Microsoft's building what even cost $30 billion?
What cost $30 billion? And again, don't quote me. That's a third party.
Yeah.
So
let's say it's $100 million, right? Let's say it's $5 million computer. Let's just go with $5 million, right?
Right.
There's no difference. I guess after I don't know, maybe Meta, their systems are hundreds of millions of dollars, I guess, probably at this point. But what the fuck like,
right. I don't know. You're right.
What cost and how big is this
and
thing?
what's it doing? What is exactly? I mean, so
and you mean to tell me we're going to build? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say those two together, because quantum computing is really AI. Those two together is what worries me.
And we can't take this computer system and scrub the algorithms and see what these pedophiles and shit are searching and trying to do. And we can't pick them out of a crowd.
Apparently, that's not the priority because there's no money in it. Follow the money, right?
Well, that's
follow the money. And so, I agree with you 100%.
I hate that.
Me too.
You know,
I hate it.
There could be so much good done with this stuff, but there's no money behind it.
No, it's about how do we make more money and gain more power.
Mm-hmm. It's all power. Power and money.
Yep. It's all about it.
And you deal with probably some of these higher up dudes, and you get to see it. You know,
Yeah, you can tell the people, and believe me, money is a motivator for all of us. It's what makes the world go around. We got to put food on the table. We got to be able to live, and we want to live at a level that is comfortable, and we shoot for those things. But when money becomes a non-thing to people is when they start dabbling in things they should not. Because money's not they start going down avenues of places where we shouldn't play. And and technology is going to is allowing them to do that more so than ever.
Scary. I was just talking to a buddy of mine. He was talking, now they're catching these guys with this AI and technology that they're creating child porn faceless. Because now, how do you charge somebody if it's faceless?
Gosh, dude, people like that need taken out.
But like, how do we not have these systems that are just scrubbing it? Boom, there's their IP address. Here's the guy. Go get But now they're able to do that. But if you think about how are they charging somebody? But it's still the thought. It's still the act. And he was telling me how they caught this guy. He was a habitual kiddie porn. Got known for all this stuff. Then they caught him trying to meet up with a young kid, and that's how they found everything in his phone. He had burner phones, and they seized them all, but all of them had this faceless children stuff on it. And it's he was how do we charge this guy? We don't even know who this is, where do we go? But how do we evolve as a society too? And our court systems,
common sense needs to prevail. Common sense needs to go, this guy is not good to society, and that guy is gone. And I'm sorry, that's the problem with the whole world is common sense. You look at left or right. No, it's common sense. What does the common sense thing tell us? Not all this bullshit that
is divided us so much.
Yes.
That's where Chris and I joke about all the time. I'm always make it make sense.
Yeah.
Just make it make sense. I don't care where you are, where your beliefs, where you stand, political, religious. Right. Just if you're going to pitch that, make it make sense.
Make it make sense.
It makes sense. And if people just started thinking like that, and you're
term limits make sense. They make sense to everybody. Why is it not set in place? Because power on both sides makes sure it doesn't. In that case, they work together.
Politicians doing all these inside trading deals. Make it make sense.
Right.
Oh, you need me to get a vaccine that was just created a month ago. Make that make sense.
Yeah.
Shit, it's crazy.
Good.
Cyber is just, but the whole internet is so scary. But then at the same time, do you keep your children off of learning these platforms? Because that's the world we're my parents, I feel like that was my parents were there's no computers in the house. We're not going to need it, blah, blah, blah. So by the time I was in the military, I was so far behind on technology, and always have been. Now it's cool, caught up. But it's how long do you have to keep your children off of this before...
I think you have to be the only thing that we can do. You watch the news and you get so frustrated on what's going on. But as a single individual, you can't do anything. The only thing that you can do is to manage and be aware of what you can do with your circle, your family. And I even asked that very question to the guy. I can't remember his name, the AI guy. And he said, protect yourself. In other words, be aware, be in the right, know the right people, which the people we happen to know, plays in that arena.
Which is such the most interesting, fascinating, incredible group of people I've ever even been involved around and included in. And it's awesome. Especially for me, I joked about it with CJ, I'm just the fuck am I doing here? We go to these events, we go to these, functions and stuff. Right. And my wife, I'm oh, what the fuck are we doing here? You go to the parking lot, there's all these supercars and jacked up trucks. I like roll in and like my paid off old Dodge, door squeaks when we open it. And I'm like, all right.
Dude, but you fit right in.
Try, but it's just, that's one of those things, like how much business, and like, that's where like one of my mentors early in life, shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when I saw him around your guys in the group, I'm just like, oh, okay. Yeah. I'm just take everything in as much as possible, because you guys have all got something figured out.
You just try to be aware. I'm just, look, and we can only do so much, but one thing we can do is be aware and have the people around us that we can go to when shit hits the fan.
Yep.
And most people don't think the shit's going to hit the fan, but man, there's a lot of reasons why it can.
You're 100% right. And then, my wife, God bless her soul, and she was always talking me down. Babe, you're not going to fix it. What's the point of watching it? Like it is what it is type, right? But then on the other side of me is the father and the husband and the protector of the family. Like I look at the path to Venezuela. I mean, you break down Venezuela and the history and how they went from being one of the richest countries, and now they're eating fucking rats out of the streets.
Right.
And it's like, but you look at us in parallel. I want to say I'm almost 100% it's Venezuela. I
think you're right.
And you look and it's like it's just a playbook, and we're matching it. And it's like, when are we going to wake up and realize, like, okay, they've divided us enough. Like, why are we fighting? The fact that we're fighting over letting kids cut their privates off or castrate themselves, make it make sense. You turn 18 and you become an adult.
Whatever you want.
To go.
Knock yourself out.
Go. Dude, I don't care what chemicals you want to put in your body. I don't care what you want to pierce, cut. I don't care.
Right.
I truly don't care.
As a child? Are you
But
kidding me?
Why are we arguing over this?
Right. It's stupidity. It's complete stupidity.
So it's like but like we're at that stage now.
We are. And history repeats itself, does
Every
it not?
time.
Every great nation has always fallen.
Every time.
So
yeah, it's interesting. So, but it is what it is. But yeah, I guess we just, like you said, we have to worry about our families. I worry about what's under my roof and how to protect it and take care of it and provide for it. And
question everything. Question everything.
Bro, that's the homeschool. That's a homeschool parent right there.
That's right.
What you could ask my daughters, one of the biggest lessons: make it make sense. Question everything. If somebody can't give you an answer to it, that you go, oh, okay, don't believe it.
Yeah.
Do not believe it. Do your own research on it. Come to your own conclusion.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. Question everything. Authorities, government, public figures, it doesn't matter. Question it.
Yep. And it allows you to then be aware.
Yes.
Because even if the answer doesn't make sense, like you said, do your research, and then you could come to your conclusion.
Yes.
Your own conclusion.
Own conclusion.
Yep.
That is something that, like, that right there, that whole statement of just question everything, it's to the point now, like, where my kids are like, but that doesn't make sense. And I'll look at them and be like, exactly.
Right.
So what would you do in this situation? Well, I'm not going to follow that.
Thank you. Right.
Like, thank you.
Right.
Okay, we're doing the right. That's when you know how it is. I mean, especially if you guys have probably you said the whole time you've homeschooled. I think we're in our 5th year now with it. But it's like when you start seeing your children that have been outside of the public school system and how their minds start thinking
completely different.
It's not even in the same universe.
Right.
How your children start to think.
Yep.
Friend-wise, relationship-wise. Their little entrepreneur minds start thinking, and you start pursuing things with them, and it's like and my kids are coming, Dad, this blah, 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 blah. I'm like, does that make sense? No. Why? Go find out why. Let me know why that doesn't make sense to you.
It gives them an ability to put themselves in a position of knowing versus a sheep mentality of, well, everybody else is headed there, I guess I should.
Yep.
And that's what from now grade school to the high schools to the higher education, it's all just this brainwashing
sheep mentality. Yep. And what's fascinating, my oldest being 16, is she's at this age where, the groups and the friends and all, but she's homeschooled, but she has this really cool group of friends from youth group, all these girls. But they all go to different schools, all different, families. They're all over the city here, but they all come together for youth, and they all went to church camp this year and had the greatest time of their life. But like, she comes home and she's like, I can't. Like, there's some things like Taylor Swift is a prime example. My daughter, both of my kids, another big rule in our house: you idolize nobody. You idolize no man ever. We're humans. We're dirty. We make mistakes. We lie. We cheat. We steal. You idolize no one except for God, Jesus Christ. That's it, right? She comes home like, I don't understand. I don't get these Swiftie kids. And they're all talking. She's like, and they ask her, like, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song? She's like, I do not. And these girls are like, you don't. Swifty's mommy is how they refer to him. Taylor's mommy. Taylor Swift is mommy. And my daughter comes, she's like, is this weird? Like, I don't feel right when they say it. Like, it's interesting. We're like, you know what? My daughter's like, I'm cool being the weird homeschool kid in these groups. She's like, I'm so fine with it. She's like, I'm so fine with it because I'm not looking at Taylor Swift and referring to her as mommy, or I'm not following the trends and what these kids are doing. And that's when we have those conversations with your children. You're like, okay, it's working.
We're okay.
It's working.
We're gonna be okay.
All the times we've struggled, it stayed up late. Did we make the right decision? Are our kids gonna, you know how it is, especially because then you start getting the doubt sometimes, and you're like, okay, we're good. Yeah. We're good. Yep. But it's so fascinating of how these kids are just so programmed, and they don't ask questions, and they just go through it, and day to day and day out, and it's just like. And you want to talk about being a proud dad is when your kids start questioning shit, at least for me. And it's like, thank you. That's all I want you to do in life is question it, because my biggest fear is we don't raise these kids. The government's raising our children because you're sending your child off to school for 8 hours a day while your wife sits home as a stay-at-home wife, which blows my mind. I have friends that their wife do not work a day in their life and they send their kids off to school. And I'm like, do you trust the government? No, I don't trust the government. But you trust them with your children for 8 hours a day, or with a teacher that you do not know their beliefs and their background. You have no problem with that. Well, yeah, it's a school. There's the first problem, But then like once you start really digging into it, it changes everything.
It's the best decision we ever made.
100%.
I was the reluctant one because I had never the weird kids always were the homeschooled kids, Yeah. And so when my wife said, we really should consider this, I'm like, I don't want our kids to be the weird kids. And luckily that has changed. That's changed a lot. There's a lot of homeschool kids. And the immediate results of what occurred from the homeschooling and us, just to your point, being able to parent all day, every day, versus, and I work from home. My wife works from home. Yep. We get to do everything, guide that whole process, and they're not getting BS. Even the social media pressures these kids have today. My daughter, she's impervious to that because she's not dealt with it. She's never had that kind of crap because we've been very cautious with allowing that, and she doesn't have all this BS that goes on at school where these kids just kill each other,
or killing each other. Like the suicide rate in these kids. My buddy that's a cop, he tells me, he's like, dude, most of the calls we go to are like suicide threats on high school kids. He's like, dude, that's half my day is responding to kids wanting to kill themselves. And it's like, as a parent, how are you not? And I get it, kids can hide things, but fuck, are you just going to subject your kids to that day in and day out and be okay with it just because? And it's just like...
And I think people are scared. They think... I know one of my big questions was, I don't think they're going to get as good as education.
Oh, God. Right? That is one of the biggest lies.
Yeah, it is.
One of the biggest lies.
Yep. There's now programs that are so baked and we follow the curriculum and they do their thing.
But it's not even following the curriculum. It's finding the right curriculum. Right. I have 2 kids and they learn
differently.
Complete polar opposites how each one of them learn.
Yeah.
And then once you learn how your child takes in information, then you can go and chant and put everything together here. And the amount of time that it takes for them to learn. I mean, my kids are done in 2 hours.
Yeah, same. And then guess what? They can do other things they want to do. They
started
get
a bread
jobs, they can start
business.
a business. I mean, I love that.
And then, you know, like, and I tell my daughter, I'm like, listen, you know, she helps with the podcast. She does, you know, the editing and the clips, and she goes through and listens and does all that, and, you know, does the bread thing. I'm like, listen, I know these aren't probably your dream jobs, but I go, do you want to go to Dutch Bros? Do you want to work at Stella's scooping ice cream?
Right.
Nothing wrong with it.
Right.
I believe and I hope one day she goes out and gets an entry level, and she's going to come back real. We tell her all the time, you go. She's like, I think about. I'm like, go get a. And she'll look at me like, why are you saying it like that? I'm like,
that was too easy, Dad.
go get. Yeah, you can get a job at Dutch Bros. 100%. You want to work at Starbucks? There's a black coffee or
Black Rifle.
Not Black Rifle. Black Rock.
Yeah.
There's Black Rock Coffee. I'm like, you can walk there and get a job there. Go ahead. Yeah, go. And she's always like,
right.
Why? Like, you'll be back.
Yeah.
You'll be back.
Maybe in a day.
Yeah. But, you know, and so it's like, but those are the things. I'm like, Chrissy, this isn't your dream. Trust me. I know you're 16 years old. You want to go out and have fun with all your friends, but I'm like, you're learning so many skills. And like, I mean, she's gone to the vault for Dejan meetings and sat there and listened. And I'm like, if you're listening to these guys that have grown businesses, have lost businesses, have grown them again, have made hundreds of millions, have lost that. I'm like, these are life lessons that you aren't probably the most worried about right now. But I'm like, there's going to be a day where you're on your own.
Yep.
Learn them now. You have all this time on your hands. Learn. Pick these guys' brains. You're getting introduced. She's working with our camera guy. She's editing. I'm like, I want you to walk out of this house one day, which I hope she never does. She can stay forever. I want my kids to be able to walk out that door and be like, okay, they have a foundation, not the basic foundation from public school, because I feel like that's no foundation at all. I feel like most kids you're not even starting your foundation until you're out of college, because college is even worse.
Yep, it's worse.
I want my daughter walking out at whatever age that is and knowing like, okay, she knows how to talk to people. She could rub elbows with CEOs. She can grind as hard as she needs to get the job done. Go. And let's see where it is. We're here for you when you fall. I'm going to be here, but Ike, go. And that way it's just more of like okay. Yeah, I know as a father I'll never be relaxed with my children when they decide to fly.
Right?
It's impossible. Yeah. Like I dread that day, but I want them to have as many tools as possible. In the public education is not doing that.
100% agree. It's a sad story.
Yeah. And like I said, once they start, oh my God, she couldn't even just do the percentage. They didn't even know how to do a tip. And I'm like, what do you mean? She didn't even know what to leave for a tip. I'm like, it's like, okay, what's the percentage of this? Figure it out. Go. Yeah. Like, just everything's a life lesson when you homeschool. And these kids are just sitting in these classrooms and just rotting. And it's wild.
It's wild.
It is wild.
And that's the way, and like you said, it's just what they do. Mm-hmm. All these parents think that's just what we do. Send them to school.
Mm-hmm. I tell every single person, and I hope to God they listen, if you have the means or the ability to homeschool, and I know not everybody does, so sure. I'm not knocking them. But if you got a stay-at-home wife or you guys work from home, find the 2 hours a day to homeschool your kid.
100%.
You won't regret it. I've never met anybody who's like, God, we hated the fact that we pulled our kids out of the system. I've never met anybody. I'm sure there's maybe some it didn't work for them, where their kids were troubled teens and it was like that was their last ditch effort. Right. We all hear those situations, but like, if you genuinely care about your child, get them out of the public school system, and it will change your life and it'll change their life, and and it's not going to be for the bad.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it's incredible. Crypto. I don't want to dig too deep into crypto because it's so confusing, and there's so much, and it's scary. Mm-hmm. Is crypto the way of the future?
Yeah, I mean, blockchain itself is certainly the future. Blockchain is going to definitely change the way so many things are done.
I can ask you what a blockchain is. I know what a block, but like I know people listening. Sum up a blockchain is in layman's term.
Yeah, so imagine if you have a bank account, which we all do, and you take money out of your account. You're not going there and someone's seeing that you took that out and going to write on a ledger. So when you put in you want $200 out of your account, it posts to a ledger, And that money, there's no physical money that crosses. It just accounts for it within a ledger.
Okay.
That is the existence of a blockchain. It's moving things around without physicality happening. In other words, it reports everything to a ledger that is always recorded. And so that's probably the simplest terms of how we use blockchain, because I'm sure people go, well, somehow they pull it from my account and it does record it. It is, but that is a form of blockchain. So I just, it's doing, and you're right, it gets complex, and that's the best way I can explain the blockchain technology. It just makes things so much more efficiently and effectively. Because imagine if you went to a bank teller and there wasn't a button to push and you had to tell them, go take $200 from my account, and they walk into your own little, where you store your cash, and they have to pull $200 and then they send it through the tube, and that's how you got it.
Okay.
So the blockchain simplifies that whole process immensely from how it's done today.
And that's all just coding.
It's all coding. Yeah,
Okay.
it's all coding.
Is crypto worth it? I mean, I feel like who you ask, the question can vary. But, I mean, you hear so much about it, and it's such a hype, and we're supposed to be in this bull run. I don't know if it's come or gone. Like, we started to get into it, then obviously GOAT and everything took off, so that consumed my life and still does. But, I mean, is it something smart to have as like a side bank in a way? Because what's the point of crypto? Sorry, I know I gave you like three questions there.
Yeah, you should absolutely be investing minimally 5% of your dispensable income minimally into crypto.
Okay.
And if you're the common person, I've been in crypto since 2017 and wrote it up and then wrote it down based upon just lack of experience. So took 30 grand. I was a newbie in 2017 and put 30 grand into it, wrote it to $217,000 at its high point, and just watched it go down and learned a lot from that experience. And so crypto is absolutely can be huge. The problem is, it's like anything. Anytime something's massive, there's a zillion projects that go into these. Bitcoin. Yeah, if you're an investor, you should. It's like Bitcoin, Ethereum. They're blue chip stocks. You're gonna make a nice return, better than probably stock market for sure over the next 20 years, without even a question. And you're gonna do well. So is crypto amazing is it a get rich quick scheme? Absolutely not. And you're right. People get into crypto and they're man, I bought in this project, it's going to blow up, and then they wonder why it didn't. And that happens and then people put in their money and they do a rug pull and the money's gone forever, and they wonder, and then they hate crypto. Crypto is a complex opportunity for people to make some money, a lot of money, ridiculous money, stupid money, but you have to do your research. You have to know what you're getting into. You have to know, if you bought Bitcoin today, you're not going to get rich tomorrow, or you're not even going to get rich in 20 years. You're going to get a nice investment, because Bitcoin's possible. Why do I not invest in Bitcoin? Because if I put $100 into Bitcoin today and it goes up, it doubles. For Bitcoin to double, it's got to go from 60 to 100. So it's got to go to 120K. And I'm going to make my $100 go to $200. The market cap's a $1 trillion market cap. So do I believe in it? Yeah, it's like liquid gold. I mean, it's digital gold. It's digital gold, where it's a great investment mechanism for long-term holders to put money into, and it's safe. Old traditional investor would say, no, it's too volatile. No, Bitcoin, look at it over the last, it's just going to keep growing. And there's not an infinite amount. There's a finite amount of Bitcoin that'll ever be created, and it's just going to create scarcity. Scarcity in economics creates demand, and so it's just going to be demanded. Where you could make a lot of money in crypto, but with anything, the risk goes a lot higher, is when you invest in low cap or micro cap projects that are lined up with a narrative. For example, in the last bull run, gaming had a huge narrative. So you could have a gaming project that even sucked and people were becoming millionaires. You could have a meme coin that doesn't do anything, and if you're at the right place at the right time and you put money into a project that somehow some narrative catches on social media, and you're as dumb as a box of rocks and make millions. So there's a lot of, you got to be savvy, and if you're new, you should play it really smart. I've been doing it for a long time, and I make mistakes every day, and I have a lot of money in it. I'm also helping Justin. I'm now almost have taken the lead on the side. I'm probably the lead now on Sido to grow that. And it's an epic lift of what it's going to take to do that. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so it's not something that I would just come in tomorrow and tell someone how to do it.
Yeah.
Or I would tell them how to do it, but I wouldn't tell them to put everything they got into something.
Oh, no.
There was a time you could, but it would be a timing and you had to get lucky.
Yeah.
Today it's a lot more complex, and there's a lot more factors that determine a success of a project versus in the past you could just, we create a new token and they get a little narrative behind it, just take off.
Well, it's what's scary to me is you could have somebody like Elon tweet about a coin going to do good or bad, and then all of a sudden it just makes 100,000 millionaires overnight, or people lose their lives over it or the life savings over it because of a tweet, So like, to me, that's the scary part about it, is that it can be influenced by an influencer, and so it's like, if this is your life savings, and this is why everybody I've ever talked to and we've worked with, it's like, dude, if you can't afford to lose it, don't put it in.
Don't put it in. Yeah. It's still the Wild West. And so regulation is entering the equation a lot. That's good and bad. The Wild West, anything could go, and you in the right place, right time, make stupid money.
Well, that's where you hear about these guys that are like, I put 15 grand in, and then it 20x'd overnight, and I woke up and I had
2 million or some stupid number.
Yeah.
And absolutely. And regulation is going to change that, but it is still Wild West. Like if you get off the onto the decentralized exchanges, not the Coinbases and the Binance, those centralized exchanges are. But when you get into DeFi or the decentralized, dude, it's a Wild West. If you send it to a wrong address on accident, or you get scammed by someone who copied it, made it look like you're sending it to the project, but you didn't look at the address really closely, there's no one to call. You can't just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, there's a mistake here and looks like someone needs to pay me back. There's nothing.
I have a false charge on my account.
Yeah.
There's nobody to call.
There's nobody to call.
You're on your own. It's big boy rules.
Yeah, and believe me, that's happened to me. I've sent money to a fraudulent address, lost money. I've bought into projects that are a pile of craps.
What do you, if you don't mind me asking, what's the most money you lost in crypto?
The most money was about, it's live in my mind. So let me just do a little math in my head and figure out.
Live in your mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's about $125,000. Yeah.
Was that total over or just at one whack?
It was total over, but it was one lack of a whack. All I had to do was push a button and pull my funds, and that whack could have never happened.
And you waited?
I waited, and I waited to a moment, and I knew the moment I'd waited too long, and there was not a thing I could do. Yet I could see my money, yet I couldn't even touch it. It was the moment I realized it was too late.
What's the most you've made, if you mind me asking? Any of those deals at 10x'd overnight?
No. And here's what I'm hopeful. So the fun part for me, so I was a traditional cryptocurrency guy in the early days. And meaning I was blue chipping and making my nice returns and getting excited about it. And so fast forward to a while back, and I meet I know Justin from Josh from Cryptech, and we were going to do a supplement deal with Cryptech at one point, and we knew that, and
I was with them at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny. So that was you guys.
That was us.
All right, that putting the pieces together.
Yeah, so we were going to do a deal with them, and anyway, Josh calls me up, says, "Hey, you need to talk to Justin about crypto," and I was all eager, so I go meet Justin at out at the hangar, and what I thought I knew about crypto, I realized I was an ant compared to an elephant when it came to crypto with Justin.
You can't talk to him.
No, he was so far beyond, and I'm like, how the hell did this happen? And I thought I was real expert in crypto, and I realized I was nothing. And so I took a pretty hard course with Bridger and and Al and Justin too. Justin actually gave me some time, him one-on-one, which was epic, especially now that I know how busy he is today, and really taught me a lot. And so really my big hope for the big hit is this bull run.
Really?
I am deeply allocated. And I will tell you this, I'm uncomfortably allocated based on where I'm at. Meaning I have thrown a lot of money into this bull run and I'm nervous.
Is it happening now? I keep hearing things. It was supposed to pop in the beginning of the year, and people are like, hey, did we miss it? Is the bull run go?
Well, we had the tease with Bitcoin hitting 74K, right? We had that tease, and then now it's checked today. It's around 56, 55. And so there's been a big pullback. So if you look at the historical 4-year cycle, and I keep pulling away from the mic, is that
you can slide that to you if you need to as well.
We're early right now.
Okay.
And so that fake out got everybody excited, thinking, "Oh, this is happening because, the ETFs, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're happening, and so everybody's pouring money in, and so we're going to hit the bull run early." So everybody got wound up, and it was a teaser, and so now we're back into this moment before. Will the bull run happen? Absolutely. Will it follow the 4-year cycle historically? No one knows that.
Okay.
No one knows that because there is so much change in the marketplace because of the ETFs. There's so much more money. There's more manipulation. There's more factors, world factors that are playing. So and believe me, no one knows for sure. But will the Bitcoin happen? I would say 99% the bull run is going to happen.
Yeah.
When's it going to happen? If I had to take a guess, that we'll see after the election or right at the election. I mean, I don't know. To me, I think it's sometime after the election.
Yeah.
But I'm going heavy, and now Cydo, we're in a dead sprint to get that thing ready, and there's a lot of work to be done. And
the what?
Cydo, it's the data indexing token we're launching. So we're launching our own token, and it's Justin's brainchild, and
it's been in the works for a while.
It's been in the works for a while, and we had to set back just because we had, I don't want to throw anybody in the bus, but just there was not enough activity that took place initially, and so now we're having to regroup and nail down the problem is we had 3 months of downtime during this when people thought the bull run was going to happen, and we had 3 months that we could have got everything ready. So when that moment happens, we're launching the token at the ideal time. And now we're in a little bit of panic. Can we get everything ready so that we launch at the strategic best time?
Got it.
And it's tough. So we'll see, but we're pushing hard.
So the future is crypto?
Yeah, even quantum computing worries me about crypto, you know, because again, but I think it is. There's much smarter people than I certainly saying that crypto's the future.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting.
We'll yeah.
Definitely interesting.
It's interesting. I think that it is enough of a wild, wild west that people could still get really rich.
For sure.
I think there's big money to be made. I think certainly that'll shrink. Someday the crypto is going to be just like trading the stock market, you know, and you're happy with your 9-10% gains per year. But I still think we're in a place where it's crazy enough that crazy gains can still be made. I wouldn't bitch about 10% gain. No, No, 10%'s good. But we're after the 100Xs still.
Oh, for sure. For sure. You guys, that's the gamble and the thrill of it.
Yeah,
so
it is.
So I guess we can wrap this one up, but I want to ask you if you had any advice for anybody out there that has gone through some shitty times or about to grind a business. I mean, just with life, do you have any advice for anybody, especially like a young entrepreneur and what you've been through? I guess we'll focus on that. Do you have any advice for young entrepreneurs that are looking to start a business, grow a business? Do you have anything that you would let them know they should know, knowing like their life's about to change and get into the business world?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you are an entrepreneur and you want to start a company, and we've all heard this, but go and find a mentor in that space. Go and understand the market you're getting into. And after you've done that and this is what you want to do, you're saying, man, now I've got this, I'm capable, I have the skill set. Man, jump into it with everything you got. I mean, I think of this pelican eating this frog, and it says never give up below it, and the frog is all the way down the throat, but his arms are sticking out, and he's holding the throat of the pelican, even though he's halfway down the pelican's throat. In other words, don't give up. No matter what happens, and believe me, you're going to face challenges. You're going to ask yourself, should I be doing this? You're going to wonder if you're doing it and you can make it. I love this saying, and I'll never forget it. We'll never forget it. On the plains of hesitation lie the countless bones of the millions who at the point of victory laid down to rest and while resting died. In other words, they were right there.
Right there.
And they just took a little rest and they didn't quite make it.
I feel like that happens a lot in businesses. They start getting some income and then they cruise.
Yeah.
I worked for a company that I feel like that was their biggest problem. Is they were growing, and they got comfortable and they cruised instead of innovating and coming out with new products and different things. And then now it's just, and that happens every day.
Every day.
Last question for you. Marital advice. What's one piece of advice that you would give to keep a marriage, work on a marriage, make a strong marriage work?
Always remember why you fell in love and make communication part of your everyday, and not just how was your day, how's it going, but really the moments you can communicate on where each other's at, and seeking to understand their perspective. I mean, we always joke about women are from another planet and they think we are, and there's truth to that. They're much different than we are, and it's sometimes you wonder, and just remembering those things. If you love your wife, if you love your spouse, and you couldn't imagine life without them, make sure you put the work in to as if you were not going to have them. Because if you do that, man, a great marriage can be the most rewarding. It's funny, I have single buddies who've been single a long time, and sometimes us old married guys look at it and go, man, they got it pretty easy. Those guys, I have people tell me all the time, you are so lucky to be where you're at. And so just remember those things and don't ever take it for granted, and never just settle and just go through the motions. Because it's easy in life to get through I got to go to work, I got to do this and this, and then you wake up and you do the same damn thing. Don't take it for granted, man, because you can and strive to create epic. Versus, that's my wife and she's great. No, this is my fucking amazing partner that is just part of me, and we're doing this journey together hand in hand. And I think if you can think of it that way, it gives you the motivation to put the work in.
For sure. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story with us. Fascinating. I knew you and I talking, and we started talking over Post Malone, which I'm headed down Friday.
Yeah, Grant will be down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told you, I got to tell you this. I said, Grant, I'm meeting with Bam. I go, Bam's a great guy. I said, get him that freaking ticket. Because he told me, he goes, I don't know if I can get him in the show. I go, get him the ticket. So I'm pushing for you.
Yeah, he's got everything. So Yeah, that should be pretty fun. I pick him up Saturday from the airport, and then it's just off to the races. We got Jason Aldean
Yeah.
Saturday, then post Sunday, Monday, and then I'm headed home.
That's all. Grant's one of my closest friends, so
He seems like a good guy so far, just over the chatting. He seems like he's busy. Good Lord, that guy's all over.
He's all over. That dude is getting really connected. I've watched him go from nothing to just – I actually got him a job a long time ago with one of the companies we worked with, and he's just a machine. He's so he's a good dude. I'll be anxious to hear what you think of him.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I'm sure him and I just talking, I'm 100% our paths have crossed. He knows, we were going through, I'm like, yeah, I know, yep, know him, yeah. I'm like, how? Oh, I was at this event. I'm like, God, like how? I'm sure we're gonna be. I'm like, I know you. As soon as I see this guy, I'm like, okay, we've crossed paths at some point.
Do we have time for me to tell a quick story?
You got all the time in the world, buddy.
So my brother, in the position he is, he owns the largest John Deere dealership group in the world. So
your brother does?
Yeah, Kirk does. 109 dealerships. So
jeez.
He owns all the Texas, Oklahoma. So Dallas Cowboys are a big sponsor. We're a sponsor of Dallas Cowboys, and so in fact, you go on the website, you see UAT, United Ag and Turf, you see it on TV even. So Kirk calls me up and says, hey, what are you doing this weekend? I said, this was a couple years ago, and I said, Cowboys were playing the Rams. And so I said, he fly down, he goes, we're going to have dinner with Jerry Jones. So no joke, so we go have dinner with Jerry Jones, but we also go into this after party. And not that I care about these people, but the Kardashians are there, and there's, a bunch of MMA guys. And anyway, it was really fun. It was really cool. And Grant happens to call me. I tell him where I am. He goes, dude, Post is there. He's coming to that party. And I didn't know Post at all at that time.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't know me from Adam. And I'm like, well, okay. He goes, you got to go up and say hi to him and say, Grant told me to tell you hi. I'm like, dude, he gets there. He's surrounded, like he always is, by just a load of people. And I'm like, I am not going to go up to Post, dude. This is awkward. But he goes, you got to do it. So I worked my way through his entourage and finally get up to him and say, hi, man. Like, how you doing? My Grant made me come over here. I didn't want to bug you. That dude quickly forgot everybody else was there. And not just, it's the way he is anyway. He's such a genuine person. But because Grant, and he knows Grant and his dad, Grant and Post's dad are really tight. He just turned and gave me all his chin. Nice to meet you, man, and all this other stuff, and just the nicest human being. And so, anyway, I think, have you met him yet?
No.
Man, I hope you get the chance because he's just so nice. But anyway, Post was cool. I got to play beer pong with him for hours one night. He's unbelievable at that game. And anyway, so
he's got a lot of
digress,
practice time on the road.
Yeah, a lot of practice time. He's really good at it. But anyway, that's cool. You're getting to do that. I hope it's an epic experience for Goat.
Yeah, it'll just it's an open door. I don't know where the fuck Goat's gonna go.
Right.
With so many opportunities. I mean that in like such an incredible way because there's so many new things, and we're just getting started. But like, with the Brantley Gilbert, hopefully that build goes through, and doing a Goatzilla with Roush and all that stuff.
That's killer.
And then we'll see. I tell the guys all the time, like I tell Josh, and I'm like, just give me an open door. Just give me. I think I told you, I'm like, I just need 1 hour. Right. Just give me an open door. That's all I need, and we're sold. So
that's what I told him. I said, Grant gonna love Bam. He's so cool. So I'm glad you guys are getting to hook up.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. And and that was. It's all coming together. So I guess I'll recap with you next week when I get back, or you could call Grant and see how it went. But yeah, we're going to be down there, and I guess we're pulling the vehicle and or in the backstage, or he's got a bunch of stuff lined up.
Cool.
There's maybe a lot of people there, so it should be good.
He was with Jelly Roll last week.
And Jelly Roll came here. We were going to try to get connected, and I think he just came through too quick, and so by the time he was like, "Oh, you're in Idaho," so. Yep.
Cool, man.
Be interested. Well, dude, thank you.
You bet, brother.
So much. It was a pleasure having you on. It was incredible being able to hear your stories and just the grind and with business and family and everything else in life, man. It was really cool to be able to get your story, and I think a lot of people are going to be able to get a lot from this episode, and that's what I love about this podcast, man. It's just ordinary podcast with extraordinary stories and people on it.
And
so
everybody's got an amazing story. They just want to got to be willing to tell it because people are fighting the fight, man.
Everybody, and it doesn't matter what it is. Everybody's got to fight, And I know everyone's like, "Oh, I never served." Like, I don't give a fuck if you served. You're out there grinding in the trenches and building a legacy for your family and children and everything else. That's a grind. That's just, I just took a different path than you. Like that's all it comes down to. And it's been pretty fascinating. Every single person that's walked through these doors is like, man, I don't know. I don't have anything cool. I'm not cool. I'm not about this. And and then they leave and we're always like, holy shit. Like that was an incredible story, you know?
Cool.
So
cool. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks,
man.
dude. I appreciate you coming.
Anytime.
Thanks, dude.
All right, man.